You going live on both? Oh, two platforms.
So we're live everywhere. We'll be live there. And then what I do is we'll do a little of this. If we lose it, Matthew, we lose it because I'll have this one hard. And then Matthew Boda.
Yeah. Look at that turtle.
You like the turtle? No one will know what we're looking at there.
But it's soothing.
It's usually Flagler Surf, Carla Klein's webcam.
Oh, cool.
But it's down. So she's working on it.
So this is a feed from the internet somewhere?
Somewhere in the world. We're watching some turtles.
It's relaxing.
You look very good.
Thank you.
So a lot of people were excited about today's show. Most women, believe it or not. No. So here's the deal. We got to do this. Matthew Boda, a very, very dear friend of mine since elementary school, and a lot of people's dear friend. And you, after high school, which we'll cover, we're going to talk about whatever you want, but you've been living in California for quite some time now. Mm-hmm. What's it been? 5 years-ish?
10 years.
10 years. Everything's 5 years. 2008 for me. 5 years ago.
Yeah. But a good medium. It's a good happy medium.
But I've been seeing you it's like been every year-ish, which is fantastic. Was here.
Yeah.
And the show's yours, man. A lot of people are curious, like where you've been. Do you want to take it from the top, like right after high school, or you want to go? Because a lot of people. You didn't see the comments right as soon as we posted?
No,
Where has he been? I remember him from Old Kings.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah. But
well, I mean, I went to high school here, and then I did a few years in like Tallahassee, and then I came home again, and then I went to Miami, and then I was in this rock band called New Grenades, which was a lot of fun. And it was a bunch of guys I met down there. And it was the best sort of sounding band that I'd ever been in.
This is Tallahassee?
This is in Miami.
Miami. Okay.
So I had the band in high school here, which was called Chuck Taylor's All Stars.
It sure was.
And that was a lot of fun. I feel like we had a lot of fun and inspired a lot of people to express themselves and through music, especially. I think that we inspired a younger generation. And one of the guys moved on to be really, really successful. Matt Musto he's Black Bear.
From your Miami band?
No.
From Chuck Taylor's?
No, not from in our band, but we inspired like other younger generations to start making bands and stuff. And they were getting better and better as technology would get better and better. Because when we were growing up, we were still having to go to a studio and record on tapes and all that stuff. And then as we were growing in the band, the digital stuff came out, and then these kids were getting so good at recording in their house. And then we were starting to go into the houses with Josh Cobb and, all those guys. And, but then a generation below them, Bradley Abbey's generation. So Blake Abbey's brother, their bands got really good. Yeah. And they the kids were like 16, you could sing real good and stuff. And, but anyways, one of those guys went on to be one of the biggest streaming artists now, hundreds of millions of views.
I didn't know this.
Yeah, his name's Matt Musto, Black Bear.
Okay.
So you just go to Instagram, it's like @Black Bear or whatever, but or Google and put Black Bear into Spotify and you'll see all this stuff. But I did a music video for him, right? And then a year later, he blew up, and then his next video got like 100 million views.
I saw the one I think you did.
2 Chainz. The one that I did was like a weird sort of like Wes Anderson style thing.
Okay.
It still has millions of views on YouTube. It's a cool song. It's really irreverent. He's like super irreverent. The lyrics are like, misogynistic and whatever, but people seem to like it, especially young girls. So,
when you did the music video, you were already in Cali though by that time.
Yeah, I'd been there for like 5 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's not skip some chronologicals because, like I said, man, you got some fans out there, believe it or not. So you're in Miami. This is where all of us as like 02-ish alumni kind of disappear. Yeah. Colleges are in effect. Different crews are taking. I'm chilling more immediate here. I got the UNF crew, Jimmy's and Bixby's and the Mike Fetchy's and the Struys, because everyone starts to find their new niche.
Interesting thing, Mike Fetchy's sister, Jenna Fetchy, I was kicked out of the to walk with you guys when we graduated. I had to graduate outside at DBCC.
Why?
Because there was a vandalism at the school, and they thought
I heard about this vandalism.
Yeah, and they thought it was in response to expelling me for being a complete ass to the faculty and the authorities, as I did so often back then, which I now regret. And if there's anyone out there listening, I apologize 1,000 times.
Do you like on a like tangent though?
But I didn't get to finish. So Jenna
hit me.
Fetchy, I didn't get to walk with you guys. So when she went up there to make her speech, she was like, "Oh, there's some unforgettable people out there." Like, she mentioned Chewy, and then she said my name. She was like, "And Matt Boda," and so she like brought me there, even though I wasn't allowed to be there. But I was in the way back at the stadium that you guys walked in Daytona Beach. So I was still watching all you guys walk. I was at my own thing, and I wasn't allowed to be there. You know what I mean?
I don't remember you not being able to walk. That's crazy. Same thing with Marquez.
Yeah,
I totally forgot he wasn't allowed to walk.
Yeah,
but I guess that's all it's kind of like your wedding day. I don't really remember much of it. It's like a haze, but wow.
But yeah, shout out to Jenna Fetchy.
Jenna Fetchy. She's in Tennessee, I think.
Yeah, no, I've seen her around on Facebook.
She's beautiful. Yeah. I think she's still singing and doing Jenna Fetchy things. Nice. I don't know. I just keep track. But okay, so now when did you bounce from Miami?
So I went to Miami and I was in this band in New Grenades, and it was a lot of fun. And then I also was working for this South African businessman who actually my dad helped out about 13 years earlier to come into the States. He lived with us and he stayed with us. My dad helped him get him on his feet, and then he went on to create these businesses. So me and all my brothers actually went down after high school and started working for him.
Okay.
And through that, I was in this rock band, and then I went to film school for the first time. I think I was 23 or 24.
That's when you start getting this itch then. This film.
Well, I'd already made the crappiest movie ever made in the history of cinema.
Was that the Sheena one?
Yeah,
that was so good though.
No,
you're such a hater on yourself, dude. Well, I remember.
If you watch it now and compare any of the work,
but of course, crazy. But what you came.
But I was 20, dude. Some people make really good movies when they're 20.
Look, when I remember when you made that video.
I hate that movie so much. Of course you do.
Man, are you kidding me? I
love Sheena, but.
Sheena, you ruined it. But no, dude, I remember when you did that, and I was circulating around us amongst his friends. That was really before social media was really.
What was really good was that I was always trying to express myself, and I think that's what was the inspiring thing. The subject matter and the content were, they were what they were,
right?
But
for those that have no idea what we're talking about, Matt, you always have been a artist in all facets. And you've been very passionate. You're like one of the most romantic men I've ever met, like in life. Some of it can be extreme, so it's not always good. I have the cactus story I was telling the other day. So like sometimes it can be put to the limit. So everything within too much of anything is not good. But you have always been super romantic, passionate, and just tenacious towards life. And I remember when that video. I don't even remember how we were sending it back then, because that's before. That's crazy. It was before just
one of the first digital cameras, the DVC Pro. Yeah.
And I remember Sheena being involved in it. And of course, Sheena's not hard on the eyes. So that helped. And you just did a really
she was going to be in the movie, but I got
in
trouble with law enforcement.
No, you did?
I did for the one or few times that happened. But then Sheena was going to meet all of us at this area to film. And then I got incarcerated.
Yeah. So give a timestamp for the people that have no idea.
I was 20 years old, 2000.
It was basically 10 years ago. So
no, I'm 35. So
okay, yeah.
So was it 2019, 2009 minus 5 is 2004.
Wow, so long ago.
Around that area, but around that time. But anyways, that's also when I started to shape up to and get my life back on track. But so after high school, I was making little things. I made that one movie. Then I went down to South Florida, and then I started working, and then I met these guys and continued another band, which we did more seriously than I'd ever done before. And then I also went to film school and started learning about filmmaking in a professional manner.
Right.
And it's really technical. Filmmaking is really, really technical. So I was really good at understanding how all of that worked.
Right.
And then I actually got hired by that film school to be like the guy that runs the equipment and stuff. Right. So first time in my life, like I sat down in a chair and the guy was like, "We've got $27,000 a year for your annual salary." And I was like, "What?"
Yeah.
I think I was, like I said, I was like
20 something,
23 or something. But I mean, nobody ever offered me money.
Yeah. Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Well, not to mention you're in an industry that you're enjoying. It wasn't like,
but I'm in Miami still though.
You were still in Miami.
I went to the Art Institute of Miami. So I was doing all that in Miami for a couple of years. And then I stopped working for that film school and I started doing production assistant work, which doesn't require any skill. You can go on and then there's someone who knows what's going on, asks you to help. Hey, put this over there, grab this, take this to this guy.
You're just doing everything.
Yeah.
Which is smart.
To start, you know what I mean? And that's how a lot of people can just fly to LA right now and look around and get production assistant jobs and get on a film set, whether it's big or small, you know? So that's how I started doing professional filmmaking, is I'd go on to sets and I started from the bottom. And then through a twist of incredible fate, I was offered the opportunity by someone in the family to pay for me to go to Los Angeles and get set up there. And it was a really life-changing thing for me.
Right.
And I essentially was able to hit the restart button on my life in like a big town that is the most creative city on the planet.
Right.
So
you didn't know anybody though out there, right? At that point,
I knew
at that
people
age.
that the guy that financed everything, he introduced me to a lot of people.
Okay.
So I was going to social events through that network. You know what I'm saying? Right. And then I was learning on my own, but you didn't
know any. It wasn't like you were going to go see
a friend of ours,
right? Like,
something.
Such and such is there. I'm going to go link up. You were pioneering at that point.
I was by myself. Yeah. And I also didn't have any money.
I remember you sharing that with me, one of the past stories. And you told me like going out there and being like having nothing. And this is what's made you who you are. So now you get out there. Yeah. Do you I remember you shared a few with me, but weren't you kind of like just scraping by? Like, weren't you like, where were you sleeping and stuff? I remember you telling me that last time you were here.
When I first got there, I had like $500, and the family friend that was helping finance everything, it was, like I said, it was a family friend, so it wasn't a family member. So their relationship with my family member drifted apart. Okay. So he was no longer in the picture. And but even when they were together, I was still taking care of myself in these really meager ways.
Right.
But they when I would visit them, we would visit in style, I guess you could say, right? So it was this always weird dichotomy with wealth that I would witness for myself. And so anyways, so I had no money, and I had $500 to my name when I had to start really fending for myself.
Right.
So I bought a bike for $85, and I started riding around to any place that looked like it did film. And a mentor of mine said, well, now you're starting from zero. You might as well go after a job that you want, that you'll keep forever. Just make that a full-time job, trying to get a job that you want. So I just rode around to film places, and I walked in and I was like, hey, my name's Matt. I had the same shtick. Right. Everyone went in and I was like, my name's Matt. I'm new here. I'll work for free to show you my value. And then you can decide if you wanted to hire me. And people were like, oh, we're not hiring. It just went to like 20 places. And then this lighting place was like, oh, my buddy. And then, so I got my first job. It was $10 an hour.
Like literally like 20 some odd places said no to you?
Oh my God. It was crazy. And then
you start to lose
rejection
hope?
Too, man. Yeah. It's like, I'm a sensitive dude, like you said. So I always, every time somebody said no to me, it felt like it was the last no that I was ever going to hear, because I was never going to be able to do it again. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But then I just kept going through. And that's the thing about sort of acting, is just having a shtick, almost robotic, hi, my name is Matt Boda.
Right.
Hire me. But anyways, this guy hired me, and I was paying per week to stay at a communal living place. Wow. So there's 8 guys in a small house. It was like a hostel. Yeah. Ish.
Okay.
So we all had to share the same facility and stuff and pay per week. So I had $500, $85 for the bike. And then I had a couple of weeks of rent. Right. I got a job, and then his name was Michael McDonald, and he had changed my life forever. He had let me start to work in my first job, taught me about lighting and taught me about cameras, and introduced me to all the people at the studios. I would drive the equipment to the rental houses at the studios, on the studio lots. And I was there meeting people, and all those people are connected to the film sets.
So you're starting to keep going, because I'm gonna make sure we're there. So you're starting to get connected. Oh, we're good. You're starting to get connected, which is dope. Yeah. So now you're starting to meet the right people. Yeah. How long did you do the lighting? Because that was a while. Yeah. So I would keep in touch, and you were like, you were excited.
Lighting gave me some of the most surreal and amazing experiences and resources to get to where I am now. So, so I started from the bottom with the lighting and just learning. And then I was riding my bike 8 miles one way to this place to do this stuff. And I drive this van around. And then that guy came out one day and gave me $1,000, and he was like, go get a car. And I was like, oh my God, It was like, and then I went and got this like shitty little GTI, and then I was mobile then, you know what I mean? And then, I mean, it's just such a wild ups and downs. I only worked for that guy for 6 months, and then his business model changed, and then I went and I had this wild 8 months at TMZ.
Really?
Did you ever hear this?
This is where, like I said, I only got a once in a blip. This is why people that love the show, I think this is for me.
I get how these things last 2.5 hours now.
See, you walked in, you're like, well, we need about an hour. I'm like, I don't know, Matthew.
I was like, how can I talk about myself for an hour?
So you had a TMZ stint.
It was the weirdest thing, still to this day, because I loved movies. I grew up, me and all my friends, you know, these guys, we would just watch so much content and talk about it.
You
and
made a lot of movies.
Well, I have since, but when we were growing up, I was raised on films, and my idea of what life was going to be like was, you know, a projection of what I had seen and been influenced by in films and pop culture. So, what was I saying?
Talking about, I love you so much. Talking about that stint at TMZ.
Oh yeah. So anyways, I wanted to be a filmmaker, right? You know what I'm saying? So I had answered this after I left that job with Michael. I had answered this production assistant job that was for media services. I had no idea who I was, so I showed up, and it happened to be TMZ.
Where are you landing these, by the way? Are you Craigslist?
Yeah, Craigslist.
I love it. People have no idea how resourceful Craigslist is.
Well, now there's so many even way better resources to get jobs from good people.
So boom, you send in your I'm Matthew
my
Boda.
fake resume, you know, like from all the film school, high school, or you know, or the film school films I'd done or whatever. And I become a production assistant for TMZ, and I didn't really know what TMZ was because I never watched the paparazzi and stuff. I knew about paparazzi killing Princess Diana. That was like my only exposure to this.
Right.
But I come into this whole world, a TV show that's surrounded by these people that go out and invade the personal space of public figures, and they film them, stick the cameras on their faces, and they go and cut this show. And Harvey Levin, the guy that runs it, is an amazing guy. He's super smart. He's a lawyer. He's done all these things, and he's super, super smart. He's just way too interested in other people's lives, especially people that have something seemingly divinely special or whatever. So I'm there, and I'm a production assistant. So what I'm doing is I'm driving around in my little GTI that I'm paying $130 a month for, and I'm picking up the tapes from the paparazzi dudes. So I'm driving up in the hills next to Sandra Bullock's house, and this paparazzi guy runs up and he's like, here, and he hands me this tape. And then I have the first live stream version, the beginning of FTP, where you can send information, audio and video. You upload it to a satellite, and then the editor would download it from the satellite. But I had this big live stream backpack. I'd put the tape in there, upload it to the thing so they could get it and edit it for a little clip. Their little clip show. Their show consists of like little clips of whatever they can get, as long makes it to, as long as it's good or whatever. They keep it. They use that portion of the clip. So I did that for a while, and they got to know me, and I was really excited about my new life. So I'm like talkative and blah blah blah. And Harvey just loved me and wanted me to go on the show and be one of the guys to present. And also he wanted me to be a paparazzi because he thought that I could get the celebrities to talk to me,
like your personality.
Yeah, like they wouldn't feel like they're threatened. I could be like, hey, you know, what's up?
Right.
So, but I just could not do it. So I just kept doing the live stream thing, and then they started like flying me all over the country to present with this live stream straight to their website. So I'd go with a camera. I had a press pass, and I'd go to these odd events like Michael Jackson's anniversary of his 1 year death. I went to his house in Gary, Indiana with like me and 300 of his fans. And I was walking around with this background, this camera, and interviewing people. Right. And then, so Harvey saw that, and then he started to send me all around to do that. So now I'm this press guy for TMZ, and I'm not in paparazzi's faces, but I'm going to like court cases and with amongst all the other outlets, CNN and everybody. Okay. And I'm going to these courthouses. So like anytime you saw Lindsay Lohan on TMZ from like 2011, it was like all my shots from the camera that I just put up next to all the other cameras.
Wow.
And like I was making friends with the judges and smoozing and stuff. And sometimes they would only allow one camera, and they would always pick my camera like to go in there. So Harvey was like always trying to get me to do more and more and more for him. And one day he flew me out to Plano, Texas, and you know I'm like 26 or something, and I'm coming off of an old life of a, you know, so I felt amazing, and they were paying me $10 an hour,
right?
But they were paying for all this stuff, you know. So they flew me out to Plano, Texas, and we go to this court case for Chase Crawford, who was like the guy from Gossip Girl and a couple other things. I didn't really know who he was either. The only reason I ever remember his name is because of this story.
Okay.
But I go there and there's no other outlets. It's in this tiny little town, Plano, and they deny all the press coverage. There's nobody in the parking lot.
What's the story?
7 a.m. The story is he got caught with a joint, but in Texas is like a big deal.
Yeah, they cut your hand off for that one.
He was going for a hearing for that. So I show up, it's just me. They say, no cameras. I'm like, okay, cool. So I go back, I call Harvey. I'm like, hey, they denied the 1098 form that they put in, the camera form. And he's like, Matt, nobody's there. You're a reporter. You have to talk to Chase. This is an exclusive. And I'm like, oh, what? And he's like, Matt, you can do this. You can make, we got an exclusive on Chase Crawford. I'm like, whoa. And he just keeps talking me up. And I say, okay, Harvey, I'll do it for you. And I'm shaking just thinking about it right now.
I'm shaking hearing it.
And I'm walking up and I sit on this bench and I'm just waiting. It's like 7 a.m. Parking lot's empty. And then all of a sudden, and this giant fucking redneck truck pulls up in the parking lot. I'm talking the tires are like 5 feet tall. They jump out of the cab, Chase and his buddy. And they get it and they start walking towards the front of the entrance. And I'm sitting there. Man, I'm shaking right now thinking of this shit. And I have this little camcorder in my hand and I'm sitting on this bench. And I'm waiting, shaking. Oh, man, he gets close enough, and I get up, and I pull the camera up on him, and I'm looking at him through the LCD because I don't want to make real eye contact. So I'm looking at him, and I'm like, and I've never done it before. So I'm like, hey, Chase, what's up? It's us for TMZ in LA. We're just wondering what your side of the story is. And he looks at me he looked at me like with this look that was like, you flew all the way here to tell more people about me being in trouble. Like that was the look I got in a millisecond of, he didn't say a word, but because I knew what that would be like. So as soon as I saw it, look, I closed that camera and I hung my head down and I was like, have a good day. And I just walked and I started crying and I called Harvey motherfucking Levin. And I was like, you trying to splash him all over the fucking news because he got caught with a single fucking joint. Fuck you. And you knew I couldn't.
Did you know you knew what he had did?
It was just a joint. Like
no, I know, but you knew prior to like what the issue was. Like you didn't learn it. I
have
like
to
in
learn
the
about
car.
the case just a hair,
right.
And also when you're in that world, you're knowing about all their shit, because
so you're having it out with homeboy on the phone.
Dude, I fucking yelled at him so bad, and he hands it to his buddy Charles, the black guy with the dreads, and Charles was like, "Calm down, Matt, calm down." I was like, "Fly me home, fly me." I was literally jumping up and down and slamming my feet into the pavement, like just trying to break the world.
Break the world, baby.
Yeah. And they flew me home and I was under contract because they have competitors. So I was like, how do you let me out of this? Yeah. I was like, how do you let me out of this?
For
they give me
$10 an hour.
Well, they give me a lot of other things. They gave me all these benefits.
No, I know.
So I was like, how do I get out of this contract? I cannot work here. I cannot do this. And then they tried to do all these negotiations like, oh, we'll do this live stream coordinator position. We'll pay you more money. I was like, no, you don't understand. Like, I can't be here around you. Like, because I want to be a filmmaker. And these are the people that filmmakers despise, So it was just this wild.
So that was your first.
And I quit.
Stint?
I had no job. I had nowhere to go, no job. And I quit TMZ. It was like after 8 months. And I had wild experiences and stuff. But when he crossed the line and made me do that, and then I knew it became exactly what I thought it would be, because I can't look past that. I know what's happening. Like you're using his problem, against him. Yeah. So you can benefit.
You're selling his problem.
Yeah, exactly. And it was just like it did not sit right with my body.
Right.
You know what I mean? Crazy.
So now you're back to scratch.
Now back to scratch, man. I went to back to scratch so many times in LA.
So good though. I think it's healthy.
But I was
so now you're back
good.
To
I was clear-headed.
Right. Well, you knew what you didn't want to do.
I knew what I didn't want to do.
Now are we still, we're 20-ish?
So I'm 27
28?
when I quit TMZ. And then one of my buddies worked at a rental house. And I just said, hey man, if there's anything.
These are new Cali buddies.
These are new Cali buddies from the lighting world.
Okay.
So when I left the lighting world, I had only made connections on the phone a little bit.
Okay.
So then I start texting those guys. I'm like, I'll work on set for free. I'll scrub your cases. I'll do whatever. So then I started getting on music videos, 14-hour days for $100 and like all these little things. And I started to build up and I started to learn. I started to go up to the camera guys. And I'm like, how does, like, what's that? What's this? Blah, blah, blah. They'd show me all these professional camera systems and I just soaked it up. People tell me something one time and I'm interested. That's all I need is that one time. And so I started learning about professional filmmaking and I'm good and I'm fun to be around for 14 hours a day. So getting hired left and right, boom, boom, boom. And then somebody who changed my life forever. And I've had some people that's changed my life, but this guy really changed my life as an individual. Jim changed my life by resetting my life, something that I could never do or people around me could never do. So that's the biggest help I've ever received. But then when I was on my feet, this guy named John Tanzer got me my days into a lighting union, which the union negotiates really good rates because they know the profit margins on films. Right. So now I had this huge organization of a brotherhood. We were called journeymen, and we were, electrical lighting technicians, set lighting technicians. And then I started doing giant movies and like all the reshoots for all the Marvel movies come to LA and do all their biggest portions, all their fight scenes and stuff. Cause we have the infrastructure for visual effects and everything, all the studios for the stages and all the lighting companies, everybody's here. They don't have to ship all their gear out, So all these giant things, big TV shows. One day I'm on this giant movie, one day I'm on that giant movie, and my IMDb is growing and I'm like, becoming a better and better filmmaker. And I'm making these connections with these amazing filmmakers. Right. So in every department on a film set, there is a hierarchy, someone who knows exactly what to do, and then their assistants down from there, people with various levels of experience. And then they are tiered for their wages based on their experience as well. Wow. So everybody's trying to move up to the top. Right. So I'm talking to all these people that want to be up here and we're all coming up. Right. So then I'm making, like $120,000 a year out of nowhere, you know what I mean? And boom, so I start making movies. You know what I mean? I started making my own little projects with those professional filmmakers that I'm working with all day on sets. Right. You know what I mean? Then I get better and better. I fail a bunch, make a bunch of stupid things.
On a side note, in parallel what you're saying though, when does the first movie you started working on? Because I remember you had a GoFundMe.
Yeah, you guys, this town I raised like almost $9,000. Yeah. I mean, I had to go online and send everybody messages and stuff. And the only way to get it done in bulk, so everybody at least knew it existed, was to do these sort of robotic.
Well, I remember that was the first one. I love that one. What's the one where the face was?
Yeah. So that was my first thing. And that was a big failure for me, honestly. Yeah, so, not the ending project, but the process to get to that project. Right. What happened was when people, a lot of times early artists, you write what you know. Okay. So I was always writing about my own life, my own experiences and stuff like that. So I spent like $8,000 on like this big me story. And again, right. And it's when it was all said and done and I started editing it, I felt like really narcissistic, honestly. Yeah. Other people would look at it and I don't think they would feel that way, but I felt like, man, I'm beating this thing over with this other stick, like me. So I scrapped a whole bunch of it, like $5,000 worth of footage. And then, but I kept about $3,000 worth of footage. And I just sat there. And then I went back on set and started working. I was working on Fast and the Furious 7, which I want to go on a big tangent about how awesome the tech stuff is, but I'll forget what my point is. But I'm up in this giant condor, which is like a crane. And we put these giant lights on there and we float huge sections, making it look like sunlight or whatever. So it's consistent and stays because the sun is constantly moving. So we can't rely on that. So I'm up in this thing. It's late at night, Fast and the Furious 7. And I have my computer. I knew I was going to be up there all night. So I have my computer and I was trying to figure out how to connect that other footage to something that was good. And I, at the time, was having a lot of problems with dating. So it was revolving door with the apps were coming out, Tinder and all that stuff started coming out. So I was dating people and meeting them. And then I would like blah my story onto them, the first night. And then like it would, always end in just separation, So I wrote this story about somebody telling somebody a story over and over and over again, but to the same story over and over again to different people. So what I did was just shoot the same scene with 5 different girls and then just made them answer each other's question or answer each other's sentences and cut it all together. And it was just a way for me to express like,
you felt
the discontent.
This was number 2. Because I remember this one.
Oh, I'm sorry. Get Up Kid was the first one. The one in the ambulance and all that stuff.
Yeah, with the face changing.
No, that's Teetering. That's the one I'm talking about.
Okay.
Teetering is the one I'm talking about.
Well, the first one I like too. What was the first one's when you're running away from the ambulance?
No. The first one is just I'm in the ambulance. And there's a voiceover.
Okay.
It just starts. It's like, oh, there's an ambulance scene, and there's like.
So that was number 1.
That was number 1, and that's what I. No, I didn't even use that to get it. I tried to do a Kickstarter with that one, and it failed completely. And then I came out with Teetering years later, which was me. It was running through like downtown LA, all looking like a grimy dude.
Your face is changing.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So I'm running through LA, and then it's cut together with these conversations, the same conversation with a bunch of different people to express that sentiment. Right?
A bunch of pretty chicks.
A bunch of pretty chicks. Yes.
I like that scene.
Yes. And
most of them, you're like, you're laying in bed, pillow talking. Yeah. And they kept changing. This is so crazy for people. I've never seen this anymore. So I guess
you should see all my stuff if you go to ahp.la. That's it.
Say it again.
ahp.la.
Okay.
Anyway.
And I'll put the links later, but it's a great little,
what is it? Like 3 minutes.
And
then it has like this open ending. And at the end, there's this crazy visual effects where the fear that I'm running from becomes this personification. And those photos are like of
your life,
of my family. Yeah. My dad and my stepmother. And anyway, so I used that and I spread it out. And then you guys all came together and gave me $9,000. And then I used 50 more of my own money and went to film school essentially for myself and made Blood, Sweat, and Years, which was a 25-minute real deal story. And then I did this big marketing thing and launched it out and did it on Facebook Live at the same time that it was released in the theater. And that I had wrote, direct, edited, I starred in it, I produced it, and I learned filmmaking. And I was doing this at a professional level because every day I'm working on really big stuff. So I know the standard now. So I'm pulling those people on and boom, 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 and learning. And then the quality of that film was superb. It really was. And that's also where I met my partner, Brandon Woodard, who's my partner in my business and is the director of photography for all of my stuff. So we made that movie, and then I took a leap of faith and left my lighting union and started a company because I had all these little things and people had seen them. Then they were asking me, oh, can you make a promo for my business? Oh, can you do that? And then I started making enough money from just organizing my productions. Right. And now I have a company full time and I've done, lots of big videos.
Did you do a rap video for something?
So, maybe
it's okay. Get it out, bro.
Yeah, man, I did, like I said, I did Black Bear, and then that got me Gashi, which is this big artist.
Is that the 69 guy? Or that's not him. Takashi? Gashi?
Oh, no. But he just did a song with Jeezy, and his big song is with French Montana and DJ Snake.
So you were employed to make
Sony Music.
That's freaking awesome, man.
Had me make a video for them that it's going to be released soon, but it's like this crazy vaporwave. We could pull it up so you could see how bad it is.
I know, but the thing, I don't have a Jamie yet. We'd be watching people like, what are they looking at?
But anyways, it looks.
So when did you birth the company? Because this is where I I didn't know any of this. Okay,
so I spent 2017 on my savings, building my foundation, getting all the business licenses and the production, insurance and things like that. And then finding jobs. How do you find a job? Like for somebody to say like, yeah, I need a movie made. Like, who are those people? And where are they? So I went on that search, and then I found my ways into these little networks. And one job led to another. I had gotten these jobs for Paramount making biographies of their executives. So I made all these really cool biographies. And then that led to, and I made music videos for one of the executive's sons. Okay. And then started leading to these weird jobs. And then I got this giant job for Deloitte, which was like this $75,000 music video in like the 26th floor of like a downtown skyrise in LA. And it was this big dance number and stuff. And I was the producer. I wasn't the director. So at that point, people started recognizing me as a company. Right. They didn't just because the director's a really creative position. You know what I mean?
I don't know this world. Is producer higher than the director?
Producer is the one that organizes everything and makes sure that everybody has what they need to be creative.
Okay.
And sometimes they have creative input If they're executive producer and they're putting up the money, of course they're going to have creative input. But the director is the person who really is the driver of the ship. But he has people that had made the ship for him and people that have all the supplies on the ship.
Right.
But he's driving the ship.
So the Scorseses are the directors.
Scorseses are the directors, and
the producers are the money boys.
The producers are the guys that know everybody.
Okay.
And they were like, they know where to get the
interesting world.
Yeah, it really is.
You're taking a liking to it. It seems like.
Yeah. So
is it?
I provided the production services to a giant multi-billion-dollar corporation. Had to go through that whole process of being approved as a vendor and everything, And then we made this video, and it was awesome. And then it led to more stuff. And then I did this big Gashi video, and then I've
heard about that. I think I even saw the video.
Maybe
not in its entirety.
Well, if I didn't show, because it's password protected, so I'll show you. And
I heard about it.
It's really unique. So if you would have seen it, you would have remembered. So
then I didn't see it.
Okay.
I've heard about it then.
But and then after so then now I've got a bunch of awesome things. I'm editing a feature-length documentary about Woodstock, and there's I'm getting ready to do a lot of content for this girl named Emily Bear, who is like a child prodigy pianist.
Okay.
So since she was like 2 years old, all the way up to in her teens, she was flying all over the world and playing with huge symphonies. She's like a savant.
Wow.
But she's 17 now and has been singing, and she wants to be a pop star.
Okay.
So she's been looking for ideas, and she's like, I looked at all these interviews and stuff, and I cut together like this sizzle reel about her. It's like 45-second long. It was like, oh, this amazing child prodigy. And then all of a sudden it cuts to her, and she's like, that doesn't describe me as an artist at all. And then it goes into her new music, and shows more sexy pictures of her like she's a pop star, and they loved it. And so anyways, they're coming to me to create some content there. And
so if I run into somebody that hasn't seen you in 10 years, what's like Matt has his own production company in LA. Yeah. That's kind of what it boils down to.
Boutique production
and of course it bleeds out into a bunch of stuff, because I'm sure as your industry's growing, the resources that you're supplying are changing and morphing. So maybe could someone come to you and even just have like sound overlaid to a project, and you
anything. My company created a writing contest that's sponsored by Canon and all these amazing film industry companies, and writers compete, they submit scripts, and then the winning script gets made, but it's just short form. So our first season just closed, and we had like 600 submissions and grossed like $17,000. And
nice.
So we go and make a really cool movie, and that's growing. So season one just closed. So now we're going to try to do more and more as often as possible.
This is for the young bucks, or anyone?
This is for anybody.
Really?
Anybody, as long as the script is in the proper format. It doesn't have to be the most amazing thing in the world, but it has to be in a serious format, because if somebody writes something on a Word document or something, it won't be considered. And you'll pay the entry fee for no reason.
Go through.
Well, but you can easily Google how do you write a script on YouTube, and you can learn in 5 minutes for the free software. So
I'm very, very, I love you so much, but I had no idea. It's so funny because the people like call me behind the scenes, like, what's the point of the show again? And I'm like, because I love these people. Like I would do this whether we're recorded or not.
Documenting.
Yeah.
This
history. Is good. I had no idea about this.
Yeah.
I'm so proud of you.
And nobody ever asked me to talk about it, really.
Are you out of your are you in a good season right now?
Yeah.
Of life?
I just came straight from Vegas. This company hired me to present a lens, because I know so much about tech stuff. So they hired me to take this new product, this lens for cameras, and shoot with it and do stuff. It's a zoom lens. So to do all these things, and then flew me to Las Vegas for NAB, which is the world's largest convention for film equipment. So they all come together, and people buy all this crazy, amazing stuff.
So these are the conventions, and you're attending on the behalf of the client you're representing.
Yeah. And so they paid me to be there to talk about my experience with that lens. And then I just jumped on a plane and then came here yesterday.
You're all over the place.
All over the place.
Well, that's why I was so happy you came, because I know, same thing with Chad. I know you guys are like never here. For those that know you guys, they know how rare. I thought like the people have no idea who you guys are, and they're like, another Boda. What's the big deal, right? And it's like, you have no idea. These people don't even live here, and especially Chad being totally international, not even being here at all. But man, I love you so much. This is so good to hear.
Yeah.
Well, we keep in touch. I love when I send you, I sext you.
Yes.
I do a lot of sexting, and
the
we
emojis.
keep in touch. But we haven't done like a phone stint for a while, like a chitty chatty. We did one the other day. That was Damage Control. But it's just amazing, man. I bet you everyone who's listened probably, how many people would you say know this story? Like the last couple of years?
Oh, I don't know. I Who do you post very much
in our crew, our old school crew? Who knows that? Like if I run into Patrick knows
Kelly. He's one of my best friends,
right.
So I talk to him probably more than anybody, except for my brother Josh. I talk to my brother Josh every day, pretty much.
But Pat's in the know.
Pat knows everything. He always sees like the first cuts of the whatever.
He's everybody's
he's everybody's best friend. Man.
He's the best.
He's a good kid.
Absolute best. He was so excited for you to come out. The minute Chad walked off the show the other day, he was literally like waiting for us.
Yeah.
Like, man.
I loved Chad's show because I got to hear so much more detail because I've gone and watched my brother teach in Sweden.
Mm-hmm.
I went to his big thing here in Flagler when he presented all of his years of research to the community, and read all his articles, and Chad's pretty awesome.
Look at both of you. I mean, that's incredible what you guys are working on. And Chad is so, I mean, you could put him almost, I introduced him to everybody that was just like local neighbors.
Mm-hmm.
And everyone has their own little rhythm. For instance, he met like our local hot sauce guy. And, 30 minutes later, they're still talking about the peppers. Chad knows a little bit about everything, man. And he's so engaging. But you've always been like that too. And I'm just happy. I think it goes without saying that there was a lot of people that have always been concerned for you in a good way. Mm-hmm. A lot of love for you.
Yeah.
And you guys have been through a lot of hell and high water. And it was good.
A lot of it's self-imposed.
You think so?
Oh, yeah.
Really?
Well, I mean, people are products of their environment, but if you put a series of people through the same environment and they all come out in different ways, my little brother is a perfect example. Didn't let the stresses of the environment affect his decision-making process and didn't pick up these incredibly destructive habits and things like that, even though he was exposed to the same thing.
Well, here's what's interesting though. If you look back at your history and you had said like, I regret X, Y, Z, maybe it was incarceration, maybe it was a window smashed, etc. As you're getting older, do you actually look back at it and excluding the people that may have been affected negatively financially or emotionally or spiritually, do you actually regret it? Or do you look back and say, you know what, it was, I needed to do it to become who I am? Or do you think you would have still carved who you are without smashing the windows and cutting up the cactus?
Well, if we're being completely honest, I would have most likely become a better version of myself, even currently, if I hadn't wasted all my time and the time of others selfishly and mindlessly searching for nothing.
Yeah.
Because I didn't define what was wrong, and at every turn somebody would give me a resource to help me find that definition and then to find a solution. But instead it seemed easier to be in that victim state and to be in the state of chaos, so I didn't have to take responsibility and change. But ultimately, I think to make the kind of shift that I made, that I've seen many times, is there's something got to take the place of this big, giant, destructive thing. It's got to be like the displacement of water almost. Right when the water goes away, something's got to be in there. And for me, that was the dream of being a filmmaker.
Right.
So, and I just loved films so much that when I got close and I was like, oh wait, they're hiring me again?
Right.
Tuesday? Oh, I can't get high between now and Tuesday.
Right.
You know what I mean? Oh, I can't. Oh, next thing I know, I can't be in that state because I'm working and I'm making money and I'm going places, and
your recreational became occupational.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. And it just became bigger.
Yeah.
More important.
It's funny because we're in this together and we're like learning. And what I've tried to figure out is like my lifestyle. I had a really unique show yesterday. I had a guest on that's like a just recently acquired client. So it was really surreal to like have most of the people that come on the show are just people that I've met in some other time and day, and just great people all in general. But yesterday was not only an amazing woman, but someone that I'm recently working with. So it was like really, and of course, those that know my format, there's no charging, there's none of this, and it's not something I'm like, but it was interesting because I asked her like in like live, like, am I good? Am I doing good? Because like I always want to learn.
What, at the work for her, you were saying?
Yeah.
Cool.
Thank God. I mean, it was not premeditated. So thank God she didn't say like, no, you actually suck and I want my money back. And I'm like, oh, okay. But point is, I've learned that like when your job and your lifestyle just becomes your, like, look how passionate you are about what you're doing. And Rogan said this the other day too. Someone had asked him on a show recently, like, would you do this show if it wasn't being seen? And he goes, I would love to sit down with an astrophysicist like once a month. He said, I wouldn't do it to the frequency that I'm doing it at. Because of course it is a labor of love too. Like it is taxing no matter what you're doing. It becomes, I got to, there's a setup, there's a process, but the reward is so beneficial. And I'm so happy to see you so excited. So excited. You're like glowing. That's why I love when I sit here. I hope people can see or like feel is like you're at peace, man. It's been a while. About
radio was the first way that we massively communicated to the masses.
Right.
So this is radio. So emotion can certainly be transferred via sound. Do you know what I'm saying? I listen to radio. I listen to talk radio all day long. Sometimes I'll listen to a story that's so compelling, I will arrive at my destination and sit in my car and wait for the radio show to conclude.
Right.
So I can continue my day. I might need a few minutes after to be like, oh God. But, as a content creator, when I shifted my focus to start looking at how can I use my skills to tell other people's stories that might be more inspiring or already, ready to go or whatever. So I can separate myself from it. So I don't have to be such a
narcissist.
Yes, there we go.
I feel like you were kind of, were you battling? Because like I said, we've known each other our whole life. Were you battling as you started to get older and become the adulting world? You had always battled this dark side of just like, let's just say rebellion. Let's just call it that to boil it down. Whatever your poison was irrelevant. But in addition to that, as you started to carve out this industry / lifestyle, the common denominator kept being Matthew Boda, and that's what you were finding. That was unsettling.
The most revolutionizing thing I learned about myself was that I was the common denominator in all of my problems.
So you removed yourself. So now the focus became the client, their story, their mission, their goal. Yeah. And you found, it's funny, like some of these things that we've learned as like kids, and do unto others as you would want to be done to you. And then there's all these books about, like the Go-Givers and all these books. They really are, it's really true. The minute you remove yourself from being the focal point.
Yeah.
Like I've had some people, they go, just friends and stuff in bar banter, like, man, you could do the show without somebody. And I'm like, no way, man. Like they're the show.
Yeah.
I'm not, this is what the whole point is, but it's
together we're the show.
Yeah. But this seat is like become the most.
Well, that's what the thing about filmmaking is, together we're going to make a movie.
But you're just I tell this with people in a web perspective. I'm only getting what you are out. Mm-hmm. I'm not making you who you are.
Yeah.
I may make it look better, maybe throw an alpha behind you and play with some of the things, but I'm not, what you are is what you are.
Yeah.
And when people start being more comfortable with themselves, I think that's where the breakthrough is. And that's where I feel like you've started to, I haven't seen you at this much peace my whole life.
Well, I think last year I was here last year with you, right?
You were.
Yeah. So last year was an interesting emotional time for me too. You know what I mean?
But you were like more of a metamorphosis stage than you were like.
I was just right in the middle of making my business and dealing with all these things.
You were recently divorced from TMZ. That was a big deal, right?
But TMZ was 10 years ago. Last year. I haven't worked at TMZ in forever.
Okay, no, but still you were going through. You were trying to evolve. The business was a big deal for you.
Yeah. And that's 2 years ago was when I really hunkered down and started making a business. But for 7 years prior, I was local 728 set lighting. So it was like, get to LA, ride my bike around, get a job, right, get some contacts, take a weird hiatus at TMZ, and then get back to it for 7 years, make content from my surplus on my income, and then start my business. Now it's 2019 and I'm sitting in your house and it's Friday.
And it's amazing that you're here. What's some of the things that what is Matthew John Boda battling with? Do you have some woebegons right now that you're facing, unrelated to electric bills and the adulting stuff? But
romances and finances are always going to be what men struggle with. Women too, I can imagine as well, but I can't speak so much for them. But I know at being a part of men's groups for 10 years, that's what they everything centers on that. Even Game of Thrones says it's like, it's all about dicks and pussies, isn't it? It's like, really, it's romances and finances. And then, you know, you're butting up against other men for access to these resources. And, you know,
it's as tribal as it gets.
It's just being a human. It's just, it's wild. And
so what's Matthew do now with the free time you may have?
Well, I guess the first thing I'm going to think about is just dealing with that stress. There's a lot of things that I've done over the course of my time. I'll take hiatuses completely away from any mind altering or mood changing substances for as long as I feel like I need to. Sometimes I've done it for years. Sometimes I've just done it for a couple months. I've also gone out and done massive meditation retreats and research and things like that. I've done like 10-day silent meditation.
You did the silent?
I did the Vipassana. Amanda Growney is a big Vipassana person.
She is.
She was on here. I remember I saw her thing. Amanda and I are like the only people I know that have done Vipassana.
There's one other person, but I don't know them intimately. And I did a little research on them. He's still silent.
He's still silent.
It's like 20 some odd years.
He came back and he doesn't speak anymore.
It's unbelievable. But
Amanda actually does the hour a day in the morning and at night. That
woman, having her, everybody I have on means the world to me because they took the time out of their life to sit with me.
Yeah.
But if I could like stuck her with like a needle and sucked her happiness, she was so at peace. And I'm not, those that listen to it, she figured it out. It's not, she didn't always have that. But Matthew, sitting with her, I was like, literally, I don't know because I don't watch a lot of them once I'm posted because I was like, I was there. I don't want to make sure they were live and poop. But I would imagine my jaw was like on the ground. And if it wasn't figuratively, I was just like, wow, the peace that she's at. And I think as we're getting older, isn't it funny? You're around it way more than the average Joe. Obviously, we've got our island estates and our hammocks and we see our Ferrari once in blue moon. But the more and more we see the money, there's no amount of money that the peace. Like I ask people now, if I do meet someone superficially out in the bar bench and like, oh, how was your fourth quarter or the second quarter? I'm like, did you sleep well, man? You know, and I don't say it. I
wish I had more of that philosophy.
What?
The idea that peace is more important. I guess
you don't have that. I feel like you got
no. I am definitely more comfortable with myself than I've ever been, but I still want resources enough to.
There's nothing wrong with that.
You know, to finance like
there's nothing. Here's what I'm learning. And if anyone takes any bit of the parts of this show and they may hear like a sound bite and they hear me say like, I don't care about money kind of thing. And like, they could take that and run with it. That's not the point. It's just when the things that you own, it's Fight Club, man. Come on, man. Like it's the basic of life. If it's extra and it's fun and it's disposable income, 100%. I just don't think it should become, there's just a fine line between it, man. You know, there's just a fine line, you know, talking as we're getting older now. I wish I tell people from a recreational standpoint, because I did horrible in school. You know, I was not a scholar. And I wish someone would have just said to me, listen, you want to know what life's going to be like from your 10, you know, from 20 to 30, you will have, I mean, the blood, guts, and gore. You will have deaths, marriages, the good and the bad. You'll have miscarriages. You'll have rents. You'll have this, all the things that we are going to see. Yeah. And I wish someone would have, and maybe they were there. Maybe I wasn't listening. So I don't want to sound jaded. Like, I wish someone would have told me. I figured it out. But it's a beautiful life out there, but it also is, it's real. So these things we will meet. You know, you will meet that day or that time where you got to pay the mortgage or the rent. There's going to be that day or time where one of your family members is gone. There's going to be that day and time where, I don't know, you're going to have a season. And what I'm hoping is that as people become more vulnerable, that's where I learned the best. When someone says, God, I'm not doing well today. And you go, why? And they say, I did X, Y, Z. And you go, well, I did that too once. Make it right next time. Yeah. You know, and it's
that's what those men's groups really did for me. That's how I was able to make such a shift.
How long you've been doing those 10 years, these men's groups?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I lost my dad when I was 21, I think. But a man needs his father. A boy needs his dad. just the same way as a daughter needs her father. And you know what I mean? It's those relationships are so important. So there's this void. And these men's groups are the only thing available in the transitory world to be able to quell that need.
Right.
Now there's the spiritual that is always available, but there's so much, there's a lot of, that's not so much, but there's effort that needs to go into creating that relationship that the benefits are not measurable and tangible in the way that I'm used to. The best peace that I've ever felt is the peace that I had when I was good with my God. Do you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
But being almost a materialist to a fault, I invite that suffering to continue as I measure myself against my betters, who there are many, because my standard bar is Elon Musk.
Right.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Amen.
So it's like, nothing that I'm doing is of any importance, is an idea that I fight day in and day out.
Somewhat of this imposter syndrome, maybe too.
Of course, I'm fraudulent and not as good as I'm not good at this. That's why it's so hard for me. That's my head. It's like, it's so hard because you're not good at this.
You know, what was really trippy for me is when I made the leap to go independent, which was about almost 15 years ago, give or take. Matt Robinson would call me. We were talking at that, you know how like friends morph and change. We were at that particular stage in my life. Matt was literally calling me probably 4 or 5 times a day. He was an architect in Orlando doing big time corpo architecture things. I'm this guy who just quit his job. I was making $300 a month living at 9th Street North Flagler, trying to get a woman to fall in love with me to get married. And I'm like, I think I had $2,000 some odd to my name. I was making I had my first client at like $300 a month. And you want to talk about like, what in the world am I doing? I'll never forget. It was like the first week I went into, like I was like, no more W-2, nothing.
Yeah.
I was freaking out. And like net 30 days would go by of this everyday calling. And Matt would call me every day in the morning and go, all right, man. Cause Matt was like, he wanted to know, he didn't care about how you felt. He wanted to know exactly what was around for that moment. He's like, what are you wearing? Like literally every morning. Like, what are you wearing right now? I'm like, Matt, I'm nude, pouring a cup of coffee. And he's like, what does it feel like? And I was like, I'm kind of freaking out. And he's like, why? It's like, cause I got to make a call at noon. I don't think I'm going to get, this guy doesn't, I don't know. And he's like, I want your life. And I was like, Matt, I want your life. Like, are you kidding me? But point is, at one point, I'll never forget, he like in a Matthew way told me, bro, at some point you're going to have to stamp yourself successful. Because if you don't, I already am. And those around you already are. You're living your dream. And I remember I'll never forget. And it didn't happen in one chat, bro. This wasn't, imagine me. I got the phone on speaker. I'm nude. I'm pouring a cup of Joe. It wasn't like epiphany. Like it happened.
I can imagine it now.
But I remember dealing with that. And I have now slowly but surely morphed into this. You said something that's very precious to me. And that is, I believe, don't lose the fear factor. Like, you ever heard people say, fear God? Here's my definition of fearing God, and it applies to my life. I fear a life without God. I don't fear God coming and hitting in the head. I fear that if I were to do things or live a life that I know I shouldn't be doing, I fear that relationship being hindered. Same thing in life. I wake up and I don't want to fear that I won't get a client, but I use that maybe that anxiety, or maybe if you want to call it,
to take action.
Boom. So I don't think it'd be healthy. Then that's me. Maybe a way smarter, way more a business achieved guy would sit there like, no, like don't ever think like that. You should always wake up every day and be like, you're the best. And I don't know, because if you're shit.
I have so much of that I chase giant things. Do you know what I'm saying?
Right.
I every day have to have something that will never come true. Right. It's like, that's what the odds would say. That's why the company is Absurd Hero. It's, the guy pushing the boulder up the mountain just to have it roll back down so he can come back down to try to get it back up again. Do you know what I'm saying? It's just this uphill battle, but I do it because there's just this feeling that won't stop. So what do I choose not to stop? I could choose drugs and alcohol to not stop. You know what I mean? Eventually we all stop, right? It all stops. So I was like, I could do that and make it stop pretty quick, because or I could shift and try this thing that if I just got it once in my whole life, just once, got to be successful, like a film that I made did really well or something, or like I got to attend the Oscars, whatever the fuck, what I'm saying? Like that would be amazing. And it would be worth trying from now until forever. Right. Do you know what I'm saying?
I know exactly what you're saying.
So
I hope that it's resonating with people at home, because my revelation that I've had in the close to 2 decades is my regrets are, because I never pushed the envelope too crazy. I mean, beating up some cactuses once in a while, things like that.
I'm so sorry, man. I'm such a little violent prick. No, not violent. No, destructive.
Are you kidding? Do you remember it was Jordanette, you and myself?
I know, but that poor cactus was like,
I know,
50 years.
Well, that's just naive, and we were dumb.
Shit comes over and stabs it.
Yeah, we were, but
it didn't die. I know it didn't die. Cactuses, you have to completely mutilate and take out of the ground.
But look at that relationship we struck with that old lady.
And that's what's interesting. Well, but in between us as well, the duality of us destroying something. And in one sense, you look at it as abhorrent, but we were connecting together as people and as friends in a deep and meaningful way.
It's weird. It's true. That story, I wouldn't take
through
it back.
Violence. We're like, we are the best buddies.
It was a cat. We didn't it wasn't, God forbid, this wouldn't even be leaving my mouth if we had hurt something that was and of course, if there's, are there plant pettas?
When you do animals or anything after that,
that's then you're diabolical and wrong.
Then you're Ted Bundy. Yeah.
But no, that was a great story. We had a sleepover, and then Jordan got out of that situation clean and clear.
Where's Jordan in it?
I had friend request. This sounds so stupid in today's day and age, but
friend
requested him so long ago, and obnoxiously kept doing it on and off, because it would like a month had sat by and he did it. And the same thing, I'll shout it out. Steven Hobbs won't accept my friend request.
Why?
And I don't know. I guess he's just grumpy. I don't know. I love him. He was such a big moment in my life. At that time. I think I would sleep over his house 4 or 5 days a week, no joke. But point is, Jordanette was on the sleepover. You were there. We were walking and just beat a cactus up. But anyways, I've learned that I would not change. Oh, if there's one thing I could change, is I wish I would have chilled a little bit more. Mm-hmm. I remember I was 17.
Chilled with friends?
No, not recreationally. Even if it was just sitting down. Bro, I remember I was always freaking out. When my wife first, I was just meeting Camille. I remember I got a BlackBerry because I wanted to look cool. I didn't need no BlackBerry. I didn't have no emails. I got the BlackBerry. I had it on my hip. I wanted to be so busy. Isn't it weird how being busy is attractive when you're younger? I feel like
it totally is. Even to a woman, it is. Though. It's hang on a second. I will love you in just one moment, and then
there's
waiting for the next moment.
The only show I ever watched from the beginning and end is The Office.
Which one? The American version or
the American one? Okay. And there's that where the lady always gives the boss a post-it in the middle of all his important meetings that look more important. That was me. I had nothing going on in my life that was important except for figuring life out. But point is, I had a business card with the acronym behind it, and I thought it was really cool.
Yeah.
But dude, I used to be up till 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning. Just thinking, and I understand there's a process of those that sleep with a pen and a pad of paper next to you. I think that there's a healthy, get it, but at what point does it stop becoming productive and it just becomes anxious and you're worried? And I was freaking out, man.
Mental health at some.
I was freaking out. I used to have migraines out the wazoo. I was just always worried. So I wish I could go back and take let's just say I had 5 hours of accumulative anxiety or worry. I wish I could have shaved it down to 10. Maybe that's healthy to what am I going to do tomorrow with my life?
Take action sooner.
Yeah. And just chill, man. I don't want to get into this whole, where they say, you can manifest and this and that. I get it. I believe in that. I believe you get what you want, and it's happening. It really is happening. I was texting Sheena today and I was telling her it's happening. It's really happening. What everything I've ever wanted is happening because of probably just doing it. Stop worrying about it. But I have goals too. I love that you use Elon Musk. He's one of my, look what SpaceX did yesterday.
I was just thinking about how can we segue into space travel?
Just like that. Bro, I am going nuts with the black hole and SpaceX yesterday.
Wait, black hole and SpaceX?
They just took the first photo of the black hole. 2 days ago.
The BF, yeah, and then landed there.
And a chick did it.
Yeah.
So it's even more cool.
Well, Elon is so good at marketing and being a genius. So
a lot of people don't know Tesla's never had one commercial.
Yeah, but the thing is that it's even better marketing because it's so exclusive, and now everybody knows what it is, but it's unavailable.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Except for somebody who could buy the product.
Right.
So that's all he was ever trying to attract in the first place.
Are you a Tesla boy yet in Cali?
Do I have one?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, right. I fucking would love a Tesla. I mean,
they're not that unfathomable. They got the new 30
grand. Yeah, exactly. But that's a symbol of luxury to me. But I love Elon in a bunch of ways. I've read a lot about Elon. I love him from an emotional perspective as well.
He's a torn man.
He's very torn, but he's also able to handle the most incredible amount of pressure that I think any human being, essentially Elon Musk, will go down in history and his name will never not be mentioned every single day from now until the end of time, because he was able to take humans from planet Earth and make them a multi-planet civilization. Mm-hmm. So there's type 1 civilizations where they use the resources from their surroundings. On us, we've maxed it out, Earth. Type 2 is where they use it from the solar system. So they're able to go out and mine helium-2 and precious metals from asteroids that put them around lunar orbit and have robots go and do all that stuff. So that's what we're working towards. And then type 3 is use the entire galaxy. Use the resources of the entire galaxy. So there's type 1, type 2, type 3 civilizations currently in scientific view. You know what I mean? We don't know any type 2 civilizations, and we don't know type 3 civilizations. We're the only civilization that we know of. But Elon Musk is literally at the demarcation between type 1 and type 2 and could easily be the reason why we cross over into type 2. By the end of his life, and I love how he says, I want to die on Mars, just not upon impact. But he his goal is by the end of the life. He has all these other things: the Boring Company, he has the Neuralink, he's got Tesla, he's got Solar City, but SpaceX is his main thing, and his main mission is to get people to Mars. And that is just the coolest. Before Elon Musk, Boeing had a chokehold on the space industry. It cost $1 billion to launch a rocket just to get a communication satellite, let alone to go to the moon. So it was like, why are we doing this? Then Elon came in and I was laughing at him, and he makes automated rockets that are able to do it for $90 million, like a hundredth of the budget. And then you don't even have to send a person up there. So he's doing all these amazing things. And, if you read about Elon, he was on his last dollar when Falcon 9 worked, and then boom, he got the NASA contract, and then that was it. I mean, and he hasn't failed since, and he's just going more and more and more and more. But to revolutionize the space industry in such a giant way, essentially making things cost 1/100th of their normal price, opens up this new world to more people. And that's all Elon's ever tried. He revolutionized the car industry the same way.
Gives his blueprints away.
And he doesn't mind because he's got a fucking 1,000 ideas, because he is the closest. I have this picture in my office. I have an amazing office too, in a giant movie studio. So every day I'm going there and I have interns that get college credit for working for me. Then I have all these amazing collaborators, and I have a almost full-time editor who's there right now. Hey, Danny, I'm not sure. She's probably working on firework videos.
They're just getting going, maybe.
Yeah, you're right. There she is.
My cousin's Danny, in California.
I'm at the office. Hang on. Can you please work on firework videos, and I will call you back in just a few minutes. A few minutes. I don't even know what time. What was I saying?
Musk. Love him.
Oh, Musk, man. So
did you know on the rocket that he sent up yesterday, I bet you there's a big population of people that don't realize what was being sent up in the rocket.
You know what? Honestly, I didn't keep up with this. I don't know what Chad told me yesterday, and I know that he landed 2 BFRs.
Yeah, but he sent up a communications for, I believe it was a Saudi Arabia company.
Oh, yeah.
So
he's always been catching rides with him. And
the crazy thing is that here we are, right? Like, people hire me to make little websites. People hire you to make movies.
Hey, can you put my entire country's communication
system? Can you send this up? Like, pick package 1. Yeah,
but he still loves going on Twitter and and he's like.
He's in big.
He was still trying to get the love of his father for his whole life, buying him houses. And eventually he's like, fuck you. Dude.
I subscribe to a YouTube channel that I think it's just called like Everything Musk or something. Mm-hmm. So anytime he's caught in a digital environment, even if it's a 20-second clip,
it's like
I get
notification.
There's what I enjoy most about Elon is that from a selfish perspective is that I want to be, did you watch the one with Rogan where he literally, well, not just that was, but every time Rogan would ask him a question, he would obnoxiously wait like 10 seconds to answer.
No, it's thinking.
So trippy, so smart.
Dude, it's going.
I know. I feel like he just like,
he's calculating.
He's almost thinking too probably of like, how do I make this make sense to a human?
Yeah. Like, how do I make this make sense to a lay person?
Yeah. Like, how do I even make this? But man,
my friend, well, the closest person I know to an Elon Musk is like in terms of like I can call him right now and he'll answer my call because we're good friends, is my buddy Dan Keynes.
Cali man?
He's a Cali dude. I've known him for 10 years. I've known him for 7 years, but he was an electrician like me at the union, and he used his money that he made from the union to create he revolutionized the way people view the image that they're shooting. So before you have to have cables that go into the back of the camera, and then they ran to a monitor. So all these cables all over the side. Every time they move the camera, you have all these assistants now throwing cable, plugging it in so the creatives can see, because not everybody's the cameraman. Only one person's the cameraman. You know what I mean? So everybody has to see what the cameraman sees. So it's one of the most important fucking things on set. He figured out how to transmit those signals wirelessly.
Wow.
So he created 2 transmitters and sold it to a giant company and made lots of resources for himself to then revolutionize the industry in a new way.
Yeah.
Which the same industry that he's in is the film industry.
He fed the need, man.
And he created these amazing lenses. So there's multiple ways to shoot a movie. One of them is called spherical, which is most of us go to a movie theater, we see spherical movie. It takes up the whole screen. Okay, that's one way to just think about what spherical means. Also, the optics of the glass are round. Then there's anamorphic, which the black bars on the tops and the bottoms of the screen.
Okay.
That's what that usually indicates, is that it was shot anamorphic, which means you have more information on the left and the right sides of the frame. Okay. And what it does is sort of pull everything, not distort, but it pulls everything in such a way that really makes the eye draw in a cinematic way. It's really cinematic when you shoot anamorphic. But the lenses and the optics and the ability to shoot anamorphic was really expensive. Hundreds of thousands of dollars for lenses. And then if you wanted to shoot anamorphic, you had to rent those per day of your shoot. So thousands of dollars in rental. So most people are like, I'm just going to shoot spherical. That's what we do. And then do their versions of anamorphic. You just put the black bars on spherical and make it feel like it was anamorphic, but you can tell when something's anamorphic. He made 3 lenses that were anamorphic for $9,000. Wow. So now the beauty of anamorphic filmmaking is available to
Anamorphic.
Yeah.
That was a show with Animorphs growing up. Remember that show?
Anamorphic, was it?
It wasn't anamorphic. It was like the teenagers could turn into animals.
Oh, yeah.
It was like a Power Rangers, but it never really went anywhere. Here's a crazy question. If you could, I've been asking people this more amongst my family and friends.
Have a little more?
Yes, I told you. Have a blast. Do whatever you want.
I don't know where it is, actually.
In that cabinet right there. Go for it. If you could, Matthew.
Which one was it?
Would you? Sheena's texting me.
Which one was it?
The
Spice Rum or the Black Eagle?
Bourbon, yeah, that one. You like it?
Yeah, it's good.
Good.
I like sipping on it.
So I've been asking my friends and family this, just recreation. Like if you could put yourself in another being to prolong your life at this very moment. No hypotheticals. This is like
another person.
Yeah, like you would have like a robot of some sort, an AI. Mm-hmm. Would you do it?
If I could download my.
We don't know. We just have to pretend we would be able to take the consciousness. You would be Matthew Boda, but in a robot. So it would be like Vanilla Sky, but instead of it being a person, it's kind of robotic.
Yeah. Oops, sorry about that. It's Transcendence with Johnny Depp. They download his consciousness, and he's able to.
Would you do it?
Yeah,
you would.
Just like that? I don't know. Actually,
I can't find.
I mean, just so I could live forever.
I don't know. Live forever, avoid.
Well, have you seen Altered Carbon on Netflix?
Mm-mm.
It's not that great of a story, but it's a great world that they built. It's super sci-fi.
Okay.
Go all over different galaxies and travel faster than light and through wormholes, to get to the other end of the galaxy and stuff like that. But they figured out how to live immortally by downloading themselves to, damn, Patrick, what are those? What are they called? You put them in the back?
I don't do the comments a lot, but whatever. We can break rules today. Let's see. Oh, he may be, he's working.
Yeah, he's probably listening though. Ask him what it is. They called plates or something that they put in the back of their neck. But anyways, if you crush someone's plate and they don't have a backup, they're done. You know what I mean? So they really die. And then some people choose not to download the plates for religious reasons, and then they just take the normal course of life. But
so what would you do?
I would do it until I got sick of it. Like and sick of life.
Oh, I see. But you would do it.
Yeah, I think I would, because I love the system that God created, and none of us can prove if he's real or it or she or whatever, but I love this system. But if I'm not having a good time, then I'd either want a complete reset or something, but I would like to enjoy it for as long as possible if I'm having a good time.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So if I just get, oh man, I've done it all, you know what I mean? I was like,
right.
Then I'd have a party, say, everyone, I love you guys so much, but I'm going to, tomorrow or on the 9th, I'm going to crush my plate,
I think that crush my plate.
But dude, I actually saw an episode of Vice on Vice TV.
I love Vice.
Where they
are changing, by the way, though.
Yeah.
There's a lot of ridicule on them.
Yeah. my brother was saying how like they sort of go to like really extreme events and then like parasitically report. So it's like, wow,
they've changed in the last few years.
Yeah. But I mean, this episode I saw, I'll never forget, because like they went to this woman who lived, I think it was in Norway, where assisted suicide is available. And she just didn't have any family and no friends. And she just had no reason to live. She had a very meager amount of savings. She couldn't work. So she called a couple of her neighbors and stuff like that and paid a nurse to come over. They had some fun. They ate some cake. They talked and stuff like that. And then she's like, okay, I'm ready. And then they laid her on a table and they filmed the entire thing. Wow. Laid her on a table, and then they put a thing in a IV, and the nurse came over and injected her. And as soon as she got done plunging, she was like, okay, bye everyone. Bye-bye. And in Norwegian, like, oh, dad, go grab people's hands and stuff. And then all of a sudden she was just like,
oh, I don't know of any other country that does. Is that what it's technically called? Assisted suicide? Mm-hmm. I wonder if there's any other countries that do that.
There's got to be.
I would imagine.
I bet you we can Google it.
Want to do some Jamie? They just can't see it. Assisted suicide.
He's Googling assisted suicide.
Countries.
Conversation has devolved.
That's part of the show. Welcome for joining us, folks. We're talking about wow.
It's legal in Switzerland, Belgium, Germany,
Colombia.
Netherlands.
Wow.
Oh, it's also illegal in the United States. Washington, Oregon, Colorado, Hawaii, Vermont.
I didn't know that.
Wow. And California. Hey, what do you know? You guys want to come to my death party?
Assisted suicide. It's such an interesting concept. Huh. I guess if you're dealing with
legality of euthanasia. That's cool.
If you're dealing with something like a serious health ailment and you're just like,
I don't think you should give up.
No, I don't think
you should be over. If it's over, it's over.
Right.
There's a way to define giving up, and it's over. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it's interesting. It brings up obviously it's not legal here, so don't get excited, folks in Florida. But
what is legal in Florida? Weed's now almost legal.
We're kind of getting there. We can't really do anything.
That's such a crazy creature.
Sea turtle?
The sea turtle. The amount of neurons in its skull the pathways aren't numerous enough for it to have the same sort of computing and mental processes as we do. But at the same time, it's complicated enough to be sentient. Mm-hmm.
I told Chad this during the summer. Chad gave us so many these disclaimers before he would say something like, this is really nerdy, and I'm like, bro, nothing you say to me is going to be nerdy.
Well, I mean, that's the thing.
This was more
interesting like as adults.
We went to Turtle Shack and we were talking, and all last summer, when the water was right, because I'm like,
did the water come all the way up here?
This way.
Oh,
That's how we flooded the
I was
water.
like,
The
how is that
intercoastal was
possible?
right there.
Wow.
So it came up this way. It didn't come over the dunes. That's next time.
Yeah.
This I was every time it was flat out, I would take a longboard or a paddle board, and I had a really inexpensive underwater microphone.
Okay.
And I would go and broadcast like dolphin noises, and I would try to see like there's no. It sounds really nerdy moment, and I told Chad, I'm like, you want to talk nerdy? I love the marine life. I said I would go out there. There's not much research on like the bottlenose dolphin and the migratory routes around here and what they do. And marine land really irks me the wrong way.
Marine layer?
Marine land, marine parks in general.
It's like marine layer is like the fog when the fog rests over. That's still annoying too. So.
You can't see, but I love doing that stuff, man. I love being out there and in the water. That's like what's keep me sane.
Yeah.
Soccer and water.
Are you diving off out here?
A buddy of mine will go out. We'll do, there's never really that great of clarity. Once in a blue moon, we get some good clarity. But I'll go out there.
And what's the lack of clarity from? Just soot?
It's past my pay grade. I think it's just the type of sand. We have that coquina kind of sand. So it's not really.
We jumped in the water yesterday, me and my brothers, and we were all like, "Yay, let's go! So let's wrestle!" And also, all these jellyfish.
Yeah, it's jellyfish time.
We're like, "Ah!" Right now.
Here's something crazy too. I guess who wants to come on the show tonight and double tap?
Who?
Donald Raby.
Oh, Donald Raby?
Yeah.
Wow, Chris's brother.
Yep.
Man, I haven't seen him.
Chris lives right up the street.
But doesn't Donald live in the Keys?
No, he lives, I believe, in Virginia or Washington. I could be wrong. I had a chat with him. It was really nice. It was
in the military.
Yeah, he still is.
Yeah,
officer.
He's in the Navy.
Yep,
that's awesome.
So this has been so surreal because people have been reaching out and they just want to talk, and it means so much.
Well,
to
ultimately,
me.
The reason why Facebook was so successful is number one, they were able to connect with people. That's our ultimate goal as humans. We're gregarious and we want to connect and find meaning in each other and in our own lives, right? Facebook enabled people to do that in such a way that they were able to be intimate and be protected almost.
Right.
Do you know what I'm saying? Because you didn't have to directly be vulnerable, but you could be vulnerable in a post that was only vulnerable to you in the moment you were creating it. But then when it gets posted, then it's open for comments or whatever. So you don't have to really worried about being vulnerable in that moment, It
did birth trolls.
What it also does, instead of that, it did birth trolls. Really what I'm getting at is not only that, it becomes a record, an archive that you even existed. And not only that you existed, if you post every single day, what did Vincent DeRoche do on this day? They could go back and your people that love you or your kids or something could go and get a detailed record of your social life. You know what I find so really these kinds of things, and the reason why I like it too, but I like that you're a great interview and you're articulate as well. But this is proof that I existed in a way.
It's also, you're going to notice before you go today, you're signing this guest book. And I grew up with a guest book in a bathroom. And if you don't have one, get one. It's the most, and it won't mean anything for the next 5 years, probably.
Yeah.
But if those people that are around you aren't there the next day, it becomes this really, really I'm a really sentimental guy, when it comes to stuff. And this has become so sentimental to me because I find it so peculiar or surreal, I guess, when you know of someone, even if I didn't know who that person was, and you see on a publication online, this particular person has passed away. And if it was due to a tragic event, like a car accident, etc., and you literally can go take their name. I do this. This is really weird, but I'll do it and I'll put it into Facebook. And you go to their Facebook page and they made a post 10 hours ago or something. I don't know. It really trips in my head.
Wait, they made a post 10 hours ago, but
I'm just saying, if you know what I mean, it became news. And I'm talking about our immediate news. I'm not talking about celebrities and stuff that I have no connect to. But it's just really this whole social media genre.
This is different and in depth. You said you don't know what this is, but you're starting with having conversations with people that you grew up with in your community, and then you're expanding to business owners and things like that, and you're just filling up archives. You know what I'm saying? And eventually, you could get to the point to where there's a lot of views, and and then you're able to reach out with analytics to bigger guests, and you get a couple cameras in here, and you get a live switcher, for $2,000.
I need some Matthew Boda.
Oh, dude, for $2,000, you could get a whole live stream kit, and then you can have somebody in the back. You can have Camille in the background, or anybody switching between 3 different cameras.
Yeah.
So it's like if I start to look stupid or something like that, she could just switch to you listening to me, or switch to the wide shot if and just keeping it a little bit more dynamic.
Yeah.
You
want to know something really surreal about the whole thing too? Is I've had a handful of people that, thank you for watching, those that have watched and given me this type of.
So what kind of views are you getting? I mean, I don't know. Like,
I don't know. I know that
you can go onto the Facebook and see
this many. No, I'm just kidding.
But if that was 750,000,
that was live right now.
You should be getting YouTube royalties.
But it's been really weird where if I have a particular guest on and people don't like that guest, they go crazy on me.
On the internet?
No, in person. I'm like on a phone. I'll get a phone call, or next time I run into them, bro,
your phone is going to be filled up with voicemails after this.
They're already recording this stream. They're like, hate him. But no, dude, it's been so trippy. And that's why, like, those that are listening, this whole show is just, it's evolving as every episode. That's really new for me. So it's like flattering because they're watching the show. And I want people to enjoy this.
Well, my brother, Chad, Matt Longeway, and Ryan Robertson are all driving right now to Drew White's wedding. And so they're in the car. So they're listening to this right now.
That I love. See,
well, I mean, I think they are. That's what Matt Longeway said.
They're not.
I told him not to mess me up and say really fucked up shit.
Send a dick pic. Yo, Matt. But no, it's been very interesting, and it's been really. Everyone's got a different flavor, and but I'm hoping if today were my last day, man, that's what I use that a lot when I just tell, because today were my last day. This show so far has made me feel like I've accomplished. I feel like this show's made me feel like accomplished something more in the last 2 years with the show than I've accomplished in like 15 years. Because my industry is so weird. Everything that I produce is not tangible.
The web stuff?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I deal with this really, and this is all just like Chenzo will be gone. They're not a big deal. I sleep well at night. But sometimes I think like, man, I wish like Matt Robinson was building like overpasses on I-4 and 3D rendering, and like there was a product for it and stuff. There's like something tangible, and there's things, and I don't know.
It was
sometimes this, I feel like for the first time, excluding the clients that allow me to service them in a digital environment, which means the world to me.
Secondary.
Yeah.
They're secondary. You know what I mean?
But this has now become something that people can, think about how many you do know this deep down inside, but maybe you're not here anymore, but people love you, man.
Me?
Yes. You have a wonderful, do you know how, I can't explain it to you, but I had a friend of mine that while it was Josh, Chad, we were sitting at Turtle Shack, and I haven't done this in a long time. I had a girlfriend of mine that works at Turtle Shack taking photos of us for me, not to post, because what a moment for me.
Oh yeah.
And like that,
that's awesome.
Yeah. But that's what this means to me, is to have you on, and like, what a memory and what a time, because we're not promised tomorrow at all. And I think what's really sad is that not sad, but what's really been a revelation to me is that I'm just getting more and more ready for like my own mortality. Like I'm just ready. So every day I'm trying to live as if today were my last day. The people that I was around, I want them to feel like, I don't know, to remind them that they're beautiful. I hope people don't mind that, but I probably tell every single person I see on a daily basis that they're gorgeous. And it's true though. I find so much beauty in so many people.
You're Italian, right?
Yeah.
It's such an Italian thing to do.
But as I get older, I'll start maybe saying they're delicious. I'll never forget. My grandfather once complimented a friend of ours, good looking girl. And she came in and it was like the best, like she literally walked in, he said we were watching a soccer game, so she wasn't even the focal point. And like over a glass of wine, he's like, "You look delicious today."
Like delicious.
And I was like, "God, it's so good."
Yeah.
I like wrote that down.
The inflection and the way that you say it can transmit, intention rides on that. You know what I mean?
But you ever notice how much it changes when you tell somebody like, "Hey man," and I'm not being superficial. I'm like, I'll like talk about something. Yeah. Like, you look really good like today. Like I'll bring up like what it may be.
Wait,
like
I actually really like, or you were saying that in general?
I already said yours. You don't get it anymore. No, but even it's just telling somebody, like, how good does that feel? And it is true. Everybody's got something that, and women, it's funny, more women I have on the show that are vulnerable. Women are mean to each other.
Yeah, they are.
Super mean. You women need to like chill a little bit.
Yo,
chill, ladies. Chill. She was talking about how hard it is to be a woman in today's day and age, and if you don't fit the norm of being a woman, how there's that like.
Well, payback's a motherfucker. You know what I mean? And men used all sorts of tactics to suppress women since the beginning of time, and it seemed like just a few years ago, women finally got a useful advantage, and so an equalizer. It's like they finally were able to pick up a bat in a knife fight. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
After being stabbed and bludgeoned 100 times. Do you know what I'm saying? So payback's a motherfucker, dude.
Right.
And honestly, I don't know why I decided to talk about Me Too, but it'll be fine. Honestly, as a man that was raised in a time where control was sought after and desired, whether it be over women or my friends or my situation or my money or whatever, being from that generation, I was blind to the influence and effects that sort of behavior was actually having. So then I hear a woman talk about this experience and their experiences, and there's a pattern that emerges. And the pattern that emerges, when I hear it from an objective point of view, I look at it and I say, I would feel that way too.
Right. And
the only example I have as a man is when gay men come up to me and are aggressive or are sexually driven, and they have these little innuendos and things like that. I'm like, hey. Right. And I can deal with it, to a certain degree, but I understand that uncomfortability.
Right.
But the thing is, as a man too, I'll punch somebody in the face if they cross the line.
Right.
And women don't normally do that.
Right.
So instead, their only solution was to accept this as a part of their everyday reality. And women only for the last 120 years were able to start taking up control of their own lives, honestly, through the invention of the washing machine, because it freed up so much time because they weren't cleaning garments one at a time with these big families as humans are trying to, get the population count up.
It's a wonderful way of looking at it.
It's all connected.
Right.
I mean, since the beginning of time up until the invention of antibiotics, the population was stable around 11 billion, or I'm sorry, about around 1 billion people in the whole planet. And then the early 19th century and Industrial Revolution, the spike was like 7 times in 100 years. So what we had figured out was monumental.
Right.
And at the same time, women, while everything was being revolutionized, women's time became revolutionized, which led to the women's suffrage movement. And then they still had to fight, just as racism and the racial tensions, they've gotten little bits here and there to finally get equality. We're fucking humans, dude. There should be a platform that we can all stand on some equal equality. Right. Now, when it comes to individual attributes, we have these various ways to measure who's the best for the job,
Right.
So I think payback's a motherfucker.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? They started smacking dudes down. And I don't want to bring myself into it, but I have had after I started watching all the Me Too stuff, I started to look back on times I might have acted like that. You know what I mean? And that's a good thing.
Let me ask you something, and I know you'll be honest, but did you grow up as a guy that hoot and hollered and catcalled and stuff?
No, I was more of the individual person. I would talk, but I would say things I didn't mean,
right,
for the purpose of, my own selfish gain.
Yeah.
Which was pretty much my sin,
Yeah.
If in this arena,
right,
was just like, the sweet nothings that lead to the empty connection that people get on one night.
I never had a patience or a tolerance, and not to play Mr. like White Knight here, but I can't stand the folk that find it to be conducive to do the hooting and hollering.
They think they like it. Hey, girl.
I'll never forget. I was dating Christina at the time, and I was walking out of my house. There was a house being built across the street. I was only like 16 years old.
The construction workers?
Yeah. And I'll never forget. She told me that they had kept saying something like whatever, hooting and hollering and all that. It just bothers me so much because I've been super blessed. I'm usually around attractive people, and I just find it to be a stupid way of trying to get someone's attention when you could just say, hey, you look really good today.
What if you said, excuse me, ma'am? You look really nice today.
Ask him out to ice cream.
Dude, that would be it. So, I mean, even if you had missing teeth, it would still be taken.
As long as it was genuine.
As a compliment.
As long as it's genuine. Exactly. So I'm walking out of the house, go for it. And Matt, I'll never forget, these guys are all, I've never been a big construction hefty guy. These guys are all, like.
Did you say something?
Yeah, I said something. I walked up to him, and not trying to provoke him, but I walked up to him. And by this time, one or two of them were walking towards me because they knew I was going to say something. And I already I had put Christina in the house at this point, and I just said, gentlemen, you got to do me a huge favor. I said, I understand that and I'm not even kidding you, Dad. Literally, it was like, you guys have to understand you're freaking her out. So you're not helping me. And you're breaking like all bro code rules that I know of. Like I wouldn't try to hinder your intake of a beautiful woman. First of all, second of all, and then I had to do my jab. I was like, it's really sad that most likely this is probably the highlight of your day. And then I walked away.
That she's underage.
That probably too. I didn't even think, back then you don't really ever think you're underage when you're underage.
Yeah.
But I don't know, man. I don't have a tolerance for the hooting and the hollering and all that, but I know what you mean. And it does bring up that point of, I don't know. I'm getting a huge request for more women in the workforce that are moms. Like shout out to Nicole Waltman the other day. Mm-hmm. She called me. This is a couple weeks ago now, maybe even a month ago, and she's just like, "I love the show, but you need to have me. I want some me." And I told her, I was like, "Well, come on.
Why don't you have
come on?" She's too scared, I guess. But I don't want to say she's too scared, but she was apprehensive because I don't think she. You know what the number one thing is? Most people that I ask on the show,
be the trendsetter now.
I would tell me about it. She's a phenomenal go-getter, working hard. Kids.
Excuse me. And nowadays the climate is everyone is equal.
Yeah,
everyone gets to speak, and you will be called out if that's not what your MO is.
Well, I'm calling her out. So she is a sweetheart, and I told but the people that I have asked that don't come to me for the show, the people that I have asked. The number one response is, I don't got anything to say. And I'm like, yes, you do, man.
Like, let me get it.
Yes,
let me get a shot at you.
And she's one of those that were like, oh, I'm like, your life could help out somebody so much. And I think today, I hope, aside from the nostalgic aspect, because it's Matthew Boda on the show, and aside from the fact that you are a Flagler like legend, I hope your story resonates with some people. And I was talking about this with the chick last night. Not chick, I should say lady. But her story, man, is crazy. Going through like being on rock bottom financially and going through like a 2-year season of craziness and coming back out of it. But I think it is, Matthew. I think people are starting to understand that this is really important. I've had 3 or 4 people recently tell me that they're starting shows because of this show. And it means the world to me.
Yeah.
I'm like, yes.
Their competition, though. They need to sign NDAs and not compete for non-compete clauses for 3 years. No,
go fly away. The goal is that, once again, man, like we're all going to die. It's going to be real soon, too. I don't want to get morbid, but that's okay. You think about it, the oldest living man.
See, Chad, other people think about this stuff, too. And I didn't even prompt it.
He said that a lot.
Well, I always like literally when I see my family, I'm like, I can't believe that we're all going to die one day. Like I'll touch their faces and stuff. And I'm like, oh my God.
It's crazy. It's good to get a little touch as well. It really is. We're all going to die. And it's happening. It's weird because I wish someone had told me that when I was a kid, like, hey, 30s-ish, everyone's going to die faster.
Yeah.
Because it's true. Like your family's older and it's funny because I still can wake up and I can pull my Matthew Robinson out and I can feel like I'm a kid still.
Yeah.
I do. I feel like a little kid.
He was funny, goofy, like
he was. I could talk for the next 10 days trying to explain to him what he meant to me. And I think many people, but if I try to sum it up, Matt Robinson was the kind of guy that like Matt used life. Like life didn't use Matt.
Yeah.
Matt was like,
that's good. That's
like,
a good equation there. It's like drugs. I use drugs. Yeah. Drugs didn't use
like
me.
Matt was the kind of guy that like, oxygen wasn't a resource.
Yeah.
Like oxygen was like he made oxygen. You know what I mean? Like he just I don't know. It was very hard. It was very intoxicating. He was extremely addictive. He was extremely, there was not one person that I ever knew that said like, I don't want that guy next to me, you know? And it was just, it wasn't one thing. It was principles of life that I feel like now as we're becoming educated and we're using the internet for the better of mankind. Yes, it's great to see a rear end once in a blue moon. It's cool. You know, you women look great and you men's cool. But now start trying to share some love and educate. Mm-hmm. You know, like I was telling somebody this the other day, I'm using the means of the internet to find out exactly where I'll sit at a sporting event. Mm-hmm. Like, that's awesome. That's productive. It's conducive to my happiness. But also try to share a story with your vulnerability. It's not all glitz and glam. You know that. And what you've been through, it's trippy, man, what you've been through. Because you think, you know, it's crazy. I give so much respect. We were talking about this too. You take an average guy in today's day and age that's, let's just say 15 to 25. And if they're not messed up mentally, I feel like they've already done better than we have done, could have done from a digital perspective. Because think about, could we have grown up connected to a laptop at like 10 in elementary school or something?
It's literally a shadow world.
Yeah.
I mean, those kids go online and satiate real emotional needs and things like that through these non-connective processes, because film or these videos are like ingredients in a food, and when you eat food you get sustenance and you can continue the next day. So when you see a video of somebody else having fun, you sort of can like quell the current need that you don't have or not having fun because you watched a simulation of it. You know what I mean? So you can do it all day. It's like, oh, I need another one. Oh, I need another one. Oh, I need another one. Another hit, another emotional hit. I'm not having that much fun. I'm not having that much fun. I'm not having that much fun. That looks fun. That looks fun. It's like,
well, here's what I think the biggest genre to be affected negatively is the dating world.
Yeah.
Well,
because you could put your best foot forward and then everybody's well behaved until like 4 hours later.
Do you have a lot of friends that are single?
You know,
in your circle?
That's interesting. We talk about friends because, like, you know, growing up in a small town with people and like building your identity with those people. Mm-hmm. Like, I never went to LA and made new friends. Like, I made colleagues, people that work for me or people that I work with, but I don't have a single person calling me going like, "What are you doing today, bro?" Or like, "Let's go out to dinner" or anything. It's always work related. I've had many opportunities for people that are reaching out but I just never return the calls or anything. And I think a lot of that has to do with just sort of having these scars from being so close to people like Mike Bobak and Ian and Mark and Skylar and Brett and Steve Tate. You know what I mean? These guys, like, we were together every day. We lived close together and stuff like that. And then when we grew older and grew apart, I felt alone. And I think I leaned into the relationships I had with them more than was healthy, because my home life was a little unstable enough to where I would need my friends to fill in the gaps almost. And then when none of them wanted the job, which, you know, any healthy person's not gonna, team up in such a codependent way, you know what I mean? And come out to LA and move to LA and help me make movies, or let's do it together, whatever tactic I use to try to keep that connection going. Just sort of left, not a sour taste in my mouth, because I love all of my friends, but more of a sadness that I didn't want to know any other dudes. I wanted to know my buddies. I want to know them at 30, and I want to know them 40, and I want to meet their kids. And You know, like I don't feel like building a relationship with somebody else. So now I find myself in something really interesting, which is called social anorexia, where I don't have enough friends. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
but I'm working so much in all these amazing things, but there's still a big avenue, you know, like I have like a family life, you know, with my dogs and my fish in my garden. And then, you know, I've been with a woman for quite some time now, and we've had an interesting relationship, and she has a kid, and, you know, raising a child from 4 to almost 9 now, you know, and, so I'm really satiated in like this family environment, but like my boys calling me and like me, like switching from like this mode to like, yo, what up, dog?
Right.
You know what I mean? Yeah, man, just chilling, man. Like, I don't do that anymore, and I wish I did.
Well, you bring up a really interesting like area, and I think it's of course we're biased. I'm going to say it's a Flagler thing, or, you know, FPC thing, whatever you want to call it. But as we're getting older, and I associate with a lot of the people we grew up with, a lot of them will say to you, like, I've lived here for X amount of time, or I've traveled here and I haven't really met anybody. Like, nobody has grown up with what we grew up with. Yeah. And I know that sounds really...
John Keyes said that to me too.
Yeah.
And Matt Robinson said that to me before.
Yeah.
I was like, there's something about Flagler people, because when they go out into the out world, the same thing happens. Like, people are like, whoa, who are you? Like, whoa, what's up?
Like stupid random little stories, like total podcast statement here. Like growing up and seeing literally probably every single one of my friends' genitalia as a kid growing up. You say that to guys growing up now, and you're like, you didn't see your friend. Like, we were like,
yeah, what are you?
Yeah, like it was, didn't even, you, like if you say that.
I did weird shit when I was growing up, man.
But it was this like how many naked parties did we go to? Is like someone had a pool, you were naked. Like that was just how it was.
I think that those behaviors can be chalked up to like trying to be as vulnerable as possible with people, like trying to connect at the deepest possible way, you know? I don't think it's about, it wasn't hedonism. It wasn't pleasure or anything to like, cause I would whip out my junk and make a joke.
Right.
Do you know what I'm saying? It was just trying to make them laugh or whatever I could do in the most absurd sense, you know? And
I guess that's this could get really bad, but that's part of the show is that it was never meant with the intentions of like, I don't know how to describe it. I guess they're like, you guys are minors and you're running around naked. Like, well, I don't know how to describe it, but
with each other is not illegal. So
the silver lining to it was, once again, that there was something really tight. And that's, I think, if there's like 3 ingredients that's making maybe this show useful and resourceful to somebody mentally or spiritually, is because there's something like I'm here, like I'm home, and people are welcome here.
You know, and I since what my dad did to this place and his role in it, I was trying to destroy my love for the town that people were mad. You know what I'm saying? That the stuff I did and stuff that my dad did. So I was like, well, fuck you, fuck me, fuck you. Right. You know what I'm saying? And then I lost a lot of connections. And then now I'm coming back and like you say, people love me and stuff. And I'm like, wow, did they forget about what I did?
I don't think people, it's funny because I had a few people text me and they're like, you're having Matt Boda on the show? And same thing with Patrick Kelly. People were like, you have Patrick Kelly on the show? Like, that's crazy. Not in a bad connotation, but just like almost prepared for you guys to like be doing somersaults and probably, you know, like where we could go with it.
Right. Well, it's like watching a kid or an animal, like just like they're unpredictable.
Right.
It's like, ooh.
So, and there is that genre that you guys definitely had. Like I joked back. Did you see what I posted today? I said like, put your seatbelts on because it could go anywhere. But that's a compliment to me anyways. But
it's really entertaining. Is what I think you were meaning.
Yeah. But here's the thing is that we grew up in a very, I just want to say we're kind of like, we're spoiled. And I mean, how precious is it that I have, you know, like even Brandon Brown will come on, and all those Lost Boys, they all know that I've reached out to almost all of them. And if I haven't yet, I'm coming for you. And I want you on. And it's all
what's funny about like somebody like Matt Langeway.
Yeah.
Like he's so good at like making fun of it, but you get him on here, he'll talk forever.
Oh, I love him though.
You know what I mean?
He would be
it would be awesome. I would love to listen to Matt be in the hot seat, talk about his life, talk about, because he's done such gnarly things. And then Ryan Roberts, everybody's had such gnarly lives that could easily hold an hour or two.
Well, now I think we're all in this. Of course, the show is always going to, relate to someone that's maybe relating to us.
Yeah.
But being the 30 nothings, isn't it interesting?
Well, I think that your intention of like you connecting with the person you're talking to is the real satisfaction.
You think so?
Yeah. As long as I think you keep it as simple as you're just interested in the person you're interviewing, then the rest of it is sort of secondary and complementary to the true nature of what it is that you're trying to do, which is you're interested in the person.
I am.
I
had someone say, they're like, I don't have a business. I can't come on the show. It's Bosses Online. I'm like, no, you don't have that. You're a boss because you're alive and you own your life. That
is cool to open it up to everybody as you get started. But I think that as you narrow it down and become more exclusive, that's a good thing too. At the same time,
the bosses thing.
Yeah, like or you can have a subsidiary podcast that maybe is allows for like unsolicited, whatever. But like the idea of keeping it professional with professionals is a good move on someone who's trying to.
Well, one of my little woebegons in my 30 nothings is I don't think the business ecosystem likes me.
In what sense?
I don't know. Like when I go to the meetings and the things,
meetings,
like things I got to like, it's an event, like I'm literally in my, my booty shorts and my t-shirt. I stripped myself of that stuff a long time ago. And I'm probably losing a lot of maybe commercial business because they're like, what is this guy doing?
You're not dressing properly.
Yeah. Oh yeah. When I stopped dressing nice, dude, I went to a
But why? Was it
I don't know. I'll call it out. I don't really care. I went to the club at Hammock Beach. It's probably like, I don't even know.
Trying to find new business?
No, I had to go because someone I had serviced was going. I thought I'd be nice and go.
Did they invite you?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I went. I used to work there many moons ago.
So you showed up with not the proper attire?
I tried. I had jeans on, black jeans, so like pants. I tried. Like I don't go to provoke or to irritate, but I went. I was there early. I was respectful. I actually like start helping because I just have this like sense of hospitality in general. Like I can't like like literally people are like setting up. So like I'm not just like like I'm like helping move a thing and doing things. And I'm okay, man. I'm like probably what maybe an interneter looks like in LA, I guess. I don't like nice t-shirt, clean, and then my pants on. And it was okay. But everybody else was to the nines. I didn't know it was going to be to the nines. So I'm standing there killing like 10 minutes or 5 minutes or so just of awkward killing space, time, whatever, because we're waiting for this thing to get going. And this to the nines guy is standing there. I know the guy. Like I know the guy. He doesn't know. I guess he didn't know me. And I was said to him, I go, hey man, long time no see. How you been? And I'm not even kidding you. I guess, the minute in today's day and age, like everyone's they were on his phone anyways. I get it. Like I was already prepared for that. That didn't offend me. But he looks over, Matt, and he goes, there's no way you know me. And he goes back to his phone.
Really?
I wanted to be like, listen here, bucko. Like, I know exactly who you are.
Bucko, yeah. Fucko.
Yeah. As it's happening, I literally came home that day and I said, babe, I felt like the first day at school at the lunchroom. Like, so you know what I did? I walked into it was a lunch thingy. There was like tons of tables. Such a weird energy, man. And I hate using the word energy, but it was like just this awkward, like everybody's got an acronym in that room, 100%. So now I go and what do? I thank God I pinpoint the most ratty, tatty, earthy older lady sitting all by herself at this table of like 12.
She's a businesswoman?
I don't know. Not yet. She was all by herself.
Yeah.
I sit next to her. Or I said, howdy, ma'am, something. And I said, you might seat taken? And she looked up.
Like some joke,
seat taken. She looked up to me. She goes, I wish you would, or something like. So I sit down and I go, permission to speak freely? And like, we're kind of having like whisper talk. She goes, yeah. I go, does this thing suck or is it just me? And she goes, everyone's so mean to me. Like we're whispering. Now I feel like I'm a senior at high school lunch because now we're making fun of everybody because they're so mean.
Yeah.
So now she's sitting next to me. Come to find out, this beautiful woman had just lost her husband like yesterday and really recently.
Yeah.
living on a sailboat and has traveled all over the earth.
She's parked up here at the docks or something?
She's just, I don't know. She was at this, and I said, what in the world are you doing at this thing? She goes, I just need stuff to do. I said, so I'm in love now. Next thing you know, and those people I don't think the people that are there probably have listened to this. They like the table ends up becoming this like the table because you would think that we were like dating. I was in love with her. I was like, tell me more. Like I'm like this thing's about to get going, and I'm like sucking the life away from her. Like you've been here, you've been there. I want to go. What about that? What kind of boat? So next thing you know, the table loads up, and we were in our own bubble. But my point is, I left that. I made one of the best friends I've made in a long time that I hadn't known.
Yeah.
But everybody that was there, that was so cool. They're so cool, man. That's cool. It's too cool. And look, for those that really know me and may know the event, then sorry. Like I did it. I did my job. But just don't be mean to people. To the dude that was mean to me, like, cool. How do you feel about that? Like,
well, what's weird is that when I'm mean to someone, I feel bad.
Yeah, and he knew he was being mean because I literally was in a deer headlights.
Did they not feel bad? You know what I mean?
I think here's my theory. I think those are the same people that, because of not a non-chronic issue health-wise, have now just become the ones contingent and dependent on sleep medications, anxiety medications. I do believe that health and mental health are a real thing. I'm not devaluing that. But do I think half of this stuff is like self-induced? Like if you're a schmuck, I don't think they sleep well at night. I don't think they'll ever tell you they don't, but I'm pretty sure that dude went home with heartburn or didn't sleep well.
Some sort of spiritual consequence of being an asshole.
Yeah. And I mean, dude, I'm not kidding you. That kind of stuff is just not in my routine. And those that do, like, we all grew up in stages and picked on people at some point, maybe, even though I wasn't a big picker on her, but like at some point in your life, I promise you were a bully to some capacity.
Yeah, no,
it's making yourself aware of it and not ever doing it ever again, because you never know. Here, this old little lady was, dude, she was earthy too. Like earthy, probably even smelled a little bit. My favorite. Like I loved it. So right there made probably the bestest pal ever. Like we'll cross paths at some point. And I believe that your source and your happiness doesn't even just come. It's when your motive's pure. Like I'm not looking for her to cut a check to me, but I bet you the God that we do serve, and whatever you want to call it, the higher being is going to probably give you that, like metaphorically, like a high five in some other life. Maybe it was tomorrow. Maybe my car started, and that was a blessing in itself. Little things that we take for granted. And I feel
it adds up to become equal, the good and the bad. Hopefully you make the good outnumber the bad a little bit.
Try. But that was a big deal to me. So my point is relating to the point that you make about having more like professional people on the show. Anybody's welcome on the show. If you do have a business and you are professional and you're not a jerk, don't ever treat anybody. And now it's funny because now I've got 10 more bucks than I had last year and the year before. And I see that I still have no problem hanging out with the same exact kind of genre of people that I was when I didn't have the 10 bucks, because it doesn't matter. Love people, indiscriminatory, and just make sure that you're always a resource and joy and peace, man, because that really pissed me off when I was there that day. It was my first time in a long time. That was at a place that I used to work at, which I enjoyed. So it was kind of cool to be there. And then 2, to have some guy tell me that I didn't know him when I literally knew exactly who he was. I'm like, what? And it wasn't a chuckle. It wasn't like, oh, like, anyways, good to see you, man. Yeah. So point is, I'm trying to keep I'm trying to keep it real. Yeah. But I don't know. Do you get a lot of that?
Well, I did use some, like we made like doing funnies at lunch or whatever. Like we would, but I don't feel like I ever picked on people.
You weren't a picker.
Yeah. Because, honestly, when Facebook first came out, which we were there for the inception of this phenomena, and one of the first messages I ever got, honestly, I forgot the person's name, and I should have remembered. His name's Chris. He was a redhead kid, but he said the message I got was, "Hey, we went to school together, and there was this guy that used to pick on me in middle school, all of middle school, and when I got into high school, on the first day I was walking down the hallway and the kid came up to me and pushed me. And all of a sudden you ran out of nowhere and grabbed the kid by the head and slammed it against the locker a bunch of times and then threw him on the ground and said, like, pick on somebody your own size. And the kid never picked on him again. And that was one of the first messages I got on Facebook. And I was like, oh my God, I did that. Yes. As opposed to the other way around. But I mean, I would never.
You weren't a bully.
No, never.
My point is saying that there was at some point
I would do fucked up shit. Like I would walk through the hallway and like, grab like a ninth grader's butt when you know what I mean? Make him feel uncomfortable, like, and then go like, ooh, do a Yule in his face or something, You know what the new Yule is?
What is it?
Yeet.
Yep. Every once in a while, a funny like YouTube meme or something will come on. It was like, what the younger generation is
noticing
doing.
That I've drank 2 whiskeys.
I mean, it's your Friday, baby. Do your thing.
Friday. I'm on vacation. Get off me.
But there's this new like what are the younger generation saying? And yeet's one of those things.
Yeah.
I'm not in the know though.
I wanted to talk about other people like
who?
Frankie Terranova, Mikey Terranova,
you want updates?
Jim Vitello, John Rooney.
I've got some updates on them.
Blake Abbey. I'm going with Blake and his brother to a wedding tomorrow. So Blake's
supposed to come on. He's being apprehensive.
Is he?
Work on him for me.
Well, the thing about Blake is that he has so much to talk about and has such an opinion that he should. He should come in and talk. And but
Blake has one story that I'm not going to talk about because when he does it. But Blake had a moment in his life that I got to witness that literally like was like paramount. Like it kind of it didn't change me. It made, and I got to be a part of it with him. But I can't.
There's lots of stories that we can't.
If it wasn't for Blake, I would have never hit a pair of drums. Blake had drums at his house. I had never touched a pair of drums, and to this day, drums are like what it's kind of another thing.
Like Blake is my like my kindred star. Like we take up so much space when we're in a room that sometimes like there's not enough room. You know what I mean? So we've gone through this roller coaster relationship our whole lives.
I think everybody did
with Blake.
I was maybe one of the only ones, and Blake can only be the one to say that, answer this, but I have a theory that I may have been the only one that got in. And there's no getting out. I still love him, but like, of course, as we grew up and I used to like live at his house because he lived right down the street from me. But I came out on uncut. Like I never. And a lot of people. He was a very. He was a lot. And it was a lot of love. Ultimately, he just didn't know how to probably portray it a lot. But he rubbed a lot of people the wrong way. But he always came back full circle.
He did actually, and also he was super creative,
very creative,
and he's really good at music.
He was very confrontational, which I think
he was always so. He was like
in a good way.
He was serious. The only one of our generation that was actually serious enough to like make that extra step and went and toured and all that stuff. And and like I could never get to the professional level because I couldn't stop being numb nuts. But Blake was the first one to come back and report to us all, hey, there is a whole music industry out there. And if you show up to practice and write cool stuff, like you can do what we love, we say we love, He was one of the first. He challenges me too.
Yeah, that's a good thing.
To be what I say I am. You know what I mean? He's like, oh, didn't I hear you say that this doesn't make I'm like, oh, fuck. You're right. And then I have to take 6 months to think about it before I'm like, okay, yeah, right. But you didn't have to present the truth in such a mean way.
Have you talked to Skylar in a while?
I actually, I talked to Ian the other day. Ian and I sort of grew apart a little bit, and then we came back together. But Skylar was in the car when I was talking to Ian.
Ian, if I was a girl, I would have married him that day. The other, like last week, he was at Breakaways.
I think he's bedridden right now. Yeah, I think he's in his bed.
Why?
His back.
Oh, he had the Olympics.
Oh, I think he tweaked it from the fucking golf. I was going to say he was working so hard. No,
it's a combination of, he does work very, very hard. But I saw him at Breakaways the other day, and Ian's always been the guy I wanted to be kind of guy. And he was not, and I think he knew that, but he was like, I always felt like a fanboy near Ian because I was like, bro, because it's drumming and your guys' band. And
he was the most talented. Oh my gosh. He was the most talented
he's just so cool in general, though. Like a really great guy.
Yeah.
So he takes me aside at Breakaways the other day. Man, it meant so much to me. He
What did he say?
he pulls me aside, and we just went to like our own little cubby for a minute. He goes, I just want you to know something. He's like, you are the most positive person I've ever met in my entire life. And when I wake up in the morning and I'm having a bad day, I think about you and you make me want to be a better person. And I was like who could, like, I could have went to my next place in life that night. I did come home and I was like, babe, I've
had those interactions where it's like, okay, and scene, and you know, and that would be fine, you know.
But that meant the world. Joe Portal's calling.
Is he?
Yep.
What time is it?
I don't know. Why is he wanting to meet up with you?
No.
Oh.
So, maybe you could send a messenger. Hey, were you still sending the parking permit? Oh, hang on, it's Randy.
Joe Portal.
I never applied for a parking permit, period. So there is no parking permit in my possession. I'll make sure I'm very clear about that. Yeah, so Mikey Terranova actually moved out to LA with me.
Wait, Mikey?
Yeah. He was at the beginning of my career and he lived out there for a while, Mike Terranova.
Have you talked to him lately?
We had this funny I can't do the joke, it's too much explanation, but we used to like pretend, here, Mikey, if you're watching, is it still seeing me even though that's on there?
Yeah.
He used to go like this. Kip used to go, I know how you feel. Only he knows what that is. So.
I don't even know what it is, and it's hilarious just because I know you too.
I'll tell you after this is over.
Have you talked to him? Have you talked to him lately?
No, honestly, Mikey, we were so good friends. We were so close when he got to LA, and then he just had a different idea of what it should be. So he came back here, and then I think that maybe like he was a little, I don't know, but he might have been a little ashamed that he left. You know,
like he didn't make it or something.
Well,
I see him every week.
It was not that he was allowed to stay. He wanted to go home. Right. You know what I mean? But I think maybe I reminded him of maybe a failure or something, you know, because we've talked a little bit through the years, and he was just like, one time he said, I wish I had as much drive as you do. So
he'll get, I see him every week. I love him. Yep. Soccer. Love him very much.
Because he's got a kid and
beautiful, a wife. Yeah. Beautiful wife. You know, the Terranovas were a family that if you didn't know, you didn't know. And even as I'm getting older, you still really don't know. But to see what their family has achieved is amazing.
Yeah.
For me anyways, because it doesn't take, I'm not looking at like, I'm looking at kind of as I'm getting older, what people, you know, it could be a building, it could be something, and it's not always just fiscal, but they're a wonderful family, man. Yeah. And they've been through hell and high water too.
Families. Let's make lists of wonderful families. The Morgans.
Shauna's on the poop list, bro.
She is? She's making fun of you or something?
Nope. She's being reluctant to even. She ignored me for probably, and I'm blowing you up, Shauna. You're so lucky you responded to. No, I think we're good. Well, first of all, Shauna's one of those that like Shauna has to knight you. You can't just, you know, like I don't. I have
a song about her called 1 Year Older, and the lyrics were 1 year older means that we can't be friends anymore, because she was always like keeping that separation. Come on,
she's
girl.
good at that. So I wanted her to, like, she was probably first 3 people I reached out with to get on here, because I was like, you are Flagler.
She does it all the time.
Like, you're Shauna, like Shauna Morgan. Like, I can't do this without you.
Yeah.
Was extremely excited. You know, like
she backed out.
Well, she, you know, her texts are the best. They're like basically rap songs. So it was a fantastic text back of a lot of love and a whole lot of.
But I can't do it for you, Vinny.
Couldn't do it at that moment, which I get. Like, I don't expect. This is why I'm so honored that people make the time.
It's an opportunity to talk. If you don't want it, no big deal.
Well, here comes the poop time. Now I start putting the pressure on. Like, fast forward 6 months, I'm up to like 20 some odd guests. I'm like, I need you to come on here, because you're a part of where I've come from. Doesn't respond.
She didn't respond.
The no thank you, man.
She still hasn't responded.
She did, because I think I blew up somebody else that I knew would get to her. I was like, I detonated somebody else. I was like, and they got to her. And I get a text the next morning. She's like, gave me this huge, basically it was love. So I feel loved, but I'm coming for you, Shauna.
All right. So the Morgans,
Shauna, they're great.
Who else? Chad Morgan. We got a shout out to Chad. Eric Handelman, Corey.
I almost had Danielle Zirkel back.
Oh.
She was home for like 10 minutes.
Dude, she contacted me during the Blood, Sweat, and Years campaign, and she's an amazing artist. And then she was like, let's do this, let's do that. I was like, oh my God, let's do it. And I made this whole plan, and then she ghosted me until this day.
She's a free spirit,
am ghosted from her.
She's good at that too. So I saw that she was home. I immediately was like, damn, because I've been following her since she's been growing. So like all of her any page she has to like, I'm like, and she's just always been like, she's like all that is woman. She's amazing.
Yeah.
So another one.
Art is
another level. Yeah. She'll be remembered as a pro. So moving on, we got what else we have?
Megan Penny and all the Pennies. I know all them. They were awesome.
I think Melissa Anderson was home for a blip, for a party or something.
Yeah,
I saw a photo. It looked like she was by Flagler.
Billy, Whirly
Bird.
Yeah, Chris Raby. I love Chris Raby.
You know, Chris Raby lives right.
Ryan Casnosha.
Yep. We're bringing him out to date.
Man, you go and you keep thinking.
Well, look at what we could do. We got tons of comments flowing in, but no, we'll get sucked away. I
can't. Oh, other comments?
Yeah, there was like 30 last time I looked, but. No, here's what's been really. So you see what I have. Like you've been here before, but here's my life.
This is a cool setup, though. I like how you
like my little lights. Yeah, I'm in a union.
We use those. They're called chimeras.
See?
Yeah, we put those on
chimeras.
Yeah. It diffuses the light. It's not so hard at that point.
So here's what I do. What keeps me so happy is that I'll go for a normal day. Then I'll go for my swim, or I'll come back in. I'll go to Turtle Shack, and I'll be alone a lot for like.
That's what it is to own our own business and work from home.
Yeah.
You have to do a lot of your work by yourself on the computer.
I always run into somebody though.
Oh, you do?
Yeah.
Nice.
I've made some great new friends that are just locals here and neighbors. But, I mean, we'll be out and we'll see.
Maybe this idea was born from the need to be connected to people since you spent so much time alone as a business owner. You know what I mean?
Could be that. I did. Well, I went through my own dark period when Matt died. That resentment that you were kind of talking about before about you were very codependent on your friends and then maybe they weren't there when you went to pull for them.
Yeah.
Even though they may have had a right to like need to just like back away a little bit.
Yeah.
I had pieced the world away. I was done. I was never going to cause physical harm to myself or anything, but I remember I didn't want anything to do with anybody. I was my work ambition was on point, dude. One thing about me since I started working alone is I don't tell my clientele if I'm having a good day or bad day because I don't think they care and B,
they don't want to know.
They don't want to know. And even if you were literally, I've never used the word busy out of my vernacular. I've never said like, hey, I need a minute. I literally worked every day on my honeymoon. So that's why all these people that come to me sometimes and they're young and they're like, I want to own my business. It must be nice. You just get to have a podcast or do anything. I'm like, bro, you want to come work on your honeymoon? Like my wife hated me. I literally was like on my honeymoon.
Dude, if
working.
People saw what I did every day, they would be bored because I'm sitting there making ideas into these elaborate written forms, like by myself. You know what I mean? And organizing people and making phone calls and renting something.
But I would say, I guess it's embarrassing to admit, but I think I'm really codependent. Mm-hmm. I make my wife hang out in the bathroom while I shower.
I do that too. Actually.
Really?
Yeah.
It's called shower talk.
Well, when I take a poop, I always try to.
You want that dialogue. My wife hates it. She's probably listening to this right now. And she's like, she hates it. Not literally, but the fact that because she's annoying. Yeah. I don't want her in the shower.
Yeah.
I got to shower.
I need my space.
But I want to tell her I'll get home from like a day out in the town, whatever, work, whatever. And I say, babe,
come here. So anyways, today I
was those that I call every day, they know who they are. Mm-hmm. I call some people every day and I want to hear their voice. And I've learned that like I don't really care about. I want to hear what they have to say.
Yeah.
And it's funny because people say you talk on the phone every day to somebody. It never gets old.
Mm. Oftentimes it'll get me out of some spiral thought process that I'm in.
When's your darkest moment? Mornings, afternoons, nights, combination of them all?
Mornings are the best. I think I start to like malfunction at night.
Yeah.
So
you're evaluating the day or your life or both?
Say it one more time.
Evaluating the day or your life or a little bit.
It's just all the.
Could have said that.
Every single moment, gravity is trying to disassemble the structure that you have. It's trying to make it to the path of least resistance.
Mm-hmm.
So it takes effort for us to go against that, which is, to say that the pursuit of a fulfilled life takes a lot of energy and effort. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I get beat up every day.
I like how you just said that.
And I was just bludgeoned every day by the nature of existence.
Right. That's a good way of putting it. I just saw the note of gravity. They released some footage that's probably just getting approved, or PETA doesn't care anymore, of when they sent some mice in one of the space stations, and they showed how a mammal was kind of becoming, adapted to no gravity, and they did really fast. But this whole this gravity thing is in parallel with life. Like, it really,
without gravity, the muscles atrophy, and you'll eventually become this gelatin thing that can't move.
Yep. Unless you have to go over and above.
Well, you have to exercise,
right?
But you've already established your muscle strength
right.
from gravity,
right? Prior.
So if you were born into zero gravity, you would be a gelatin-like creature
if
there was an atmosphere to support a breathing system, a respiratory system.
It is. They started to do that too. The mice started to actually exercise.
Really?
Yeah. And they were teaching
because you have to be tethered.
Yeah.
No,
they were using their tails.
Oh, to hold them really?
When they needed to eat. It was interesting. See, I love that kind of stuff. Chad Boda moment.
Well, I saw an amazing experiment where they put these rats in a cage and they gave them a crack pipe.
Oh boy.
And that was it. So they would run over the crack pipe until they died.
Right.
Then they made the same cage with a crack pipe, but then they also put all this nesting material and all these little tubes for the mice to run, or for the rats to run around in, and these wheels and all this other stuff to do, and water and food and everything. And of course, nobody went to the crack pipe, and they all just ran through and did, So it's like, as soon as people get something to do, it's
get your mind off it.
Yeah.
Do you have a soft spot for those? We're in a huge epidemic right now. This is nothing new under the sun.
For
right
opioids?
Now. Opioids.
Yeah.
I was going to have someone come on the show, and they're still going to come. They couldn't come that day, who's lost a family member due to fentanyl. And look, it's a very unique thing, because at the end of it, it's a very controversial point, because obviously it's that no one's holding a gun to their head. But at the same time, this opioid thing, is fentanyl technically an opioid? I don't know. Okay, so
it's opioids.
Well, it's a synthetic. It's a synthetic form of opioid.
But it's still derived from opium.
Right. So it's really those are some of the areas that I do enjoy when Vice brings out those kinds of stories and what's happening. Cali's a huge area for it right now.
Florida's the worst, though.
Yeah. Well, we still have a big scene of the methamphetamines and things of that nature too. But man, if somebody that's listening right now that is dealing with some kind of crazy addiction to something that's not man-made, is there stuff that's really man-made? That should be. I mean, I guess you have addiction to even like marijuana stuff, but that's very weird.
Yeah.
But point is, if someone's listening that is dealing with a serious addiction and it's controlling their entire life, you've been there. What was kind of, was there one majority thing? Was it a combination of a lot of things? Like what that someone calls you right now, like I'm Bob.
Oh, how can I? What would I say?
Someone's listening right now, and they called the hotline and they say, "Hi, I'm Bob, and I'm addicted to X, whatever."
Yeah.
Is there something that, because it's so rampant?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I've done a lot of that work. Actually, I've helped other people younger than me go through the process of recovery, and I think that the ultimate thing is, for people in that position, is to have a shift in their mental outlook from pessimism to optimism. So that's spiritual awakening, because if you're a pessimist, then it's the easiest to think that you're thinking about bad things all the time. If you're an optimist, you're thinking about good things all the time. That's just the easiest definition between those two things. A lot of times people that are suffering and they're trying to use drugs and alcohol to satiate that, or fix that pain in some way, they are having a crisis of spirit that makes them, they're always thinking about bad things. So they have a pessimistic outlook. You know what I mean? So figuring out how to shift that and to have that spiritual awakening is a process that takes a lot of courage, and it also takes willingness. So you have to go through a process. There's a process. There certainly is. There's multiple ways to do it. For me, the most intense, available, affordable process is the 12 steps of Alcoholics Anonymous. So anywhere around the entire planet, if somebody's suffering, they could call a hotline and they could find a meeting where they could go in person and have an unparalleled experience where therapeutic value is happening between one addict sharing with another their experience, strength, and hope. So when one person who has had recovery shares with somebody who's struggling, they more often than not, they will understand, they'll hear the truth, even though the mom had been saying the same thing the whole time or whatever. So there's some, they say the therapeutic value of one addict helping another is unprecedented. So I think that the quickest, easiest thing when someone could do for relief is abstinence. So don't do it anymore. But if you can't do that and it's calling you all the time, calling you back to it, then you need to take extra measures, which is to go find people that have figured out how to beat that beast. And you talk to them and you ask them what to do. And then they become a sponsor, essentially. There's this whole process. So at some point, you're either mentally and emotionally incapable of honesty about your addiction, which will help make you continue to the bitter end. And then there are those who, if they follow the path, will find progress and success. So
do you think there was ever a point, was there ever a point where you kind of became bigger than the issue, or is the issue require constant suppressing?
Well, from my experience, I overcame my destructive relationship with that thought process, that belief system, and that behavior. So I was able to make a shift and then re-relate myself to the same things that were destroying me. Now I still have struggles that morph in all sorts of ways, but at no point am I ever looking for self-destruction the way I used to.
Does it get easier?
It gets much easier, but you have to find something that takes the place of it.
Is there a magic number or a timeline that you could say to somebody?
Not at all.
Never. Nope. It's arbitrary
It's about
number.
Willingness, man. You show up and you've had enough pain and you have the gift of desperation, as they would say, then you're on the right track to a new belief system.
Did you go willingly or unwillingly?
Oh, I went willingly.
You did?
Oh yeah. That's the only way it works.
Well,
I was beaten. I was in Miami. I was gnarly. I was on probation. I was on my way to prison for 3 years. And
it didn't require an intervention.
It required an intervention that it wasn't for my I was in the ghetto in Miami and I was 24 and I was trying to pick up, and cops pulled up to me and I started to run, and I was so out of shape and so messed up that I just collapsed, and they pulled up next to me and I literally crawled into the back of the car. They didn't even get out of the car. I just got up and I was trying to open the door, and they looked and they unlocked it, and I freaking got in the back of the car and shut the door. And I was like, oh, I started crying to them, and they were like, oh yeah, took me to the jail. And then 14 hours later, they let me out, and the cops hadn't filed any charges against me. And it was the last time I ever did that.
That was it.
10 years ago. But God came to me in that moment.
That was your come to Jesus moment?
Yeah. I mean, hallelujah. I never had to do that shit again, though. From that day, the moment I was like, I gave up, I crawled into the back of the car, and I was like, I'd rather go to jail for the rest of my life than continue going into the ghettos and trying to find shit and trying to.
What was your choice of poison at that point in life?
Well, opiates were the most intense way to shut my mind off. You know what I mean? Cocaine would accelerate everything to a breakneck speed, which that was a big part of my bringing myself to my knees was that particular substance. But the one that was really the killer was the one that shut everything down into this like goofy, you know, what opiates do to people.
Vegetable.
Yeah. And it was killing my...
For every 10 people right now, how many people you think are on opiates?
Well, I wouldn't
think
dare to say any real number, but if I was guessing...
You were in that world for a minute.
Oh, well, I know, but I'm saying like, I don't even think it's 1 in 10 people.
No, it's not that high.
No.
I thought it was
I think there's, you know, 3 million people out of 400 million who suffer
opiate dependent,
or who are opiate dependent that are registered, but then that doesn't count all the other people registered with Suboxone and all that other garbage that keeps you tethered. Well, what time is it? It's a million.
No, I'm fine. I think
let's go. I gotta pee actually.
People are like wanting to hang out with you. Well, I appreciate you sharing that because that was not scripted at all, and
the rest of it was scripted. I remember now.
You're like
little notepad.
And then what happened was no, but I think not that just anybody that's dealing with that kind of jazz, man. I think if
they deal with all sorts of ways, people that drink too much during the day, they just can't forego those 4 glasses of wine at night. That gives them that terrible feeling in the morning or whatever. Smoking cigarettes. You
done with those?
I go on and off of those damn things, but I've been a big runner. Like on Saturday, I did 8 miles and 26 obstacles for a Tough Mudder. It was the 3rd one I've done. And I run, and then I do Muay Thai kickboxing. So I spar with people.
So you're just staying busy.
Staying super busy up there.
Good.
Yeah. But sometimes I won't. I'll go 2 weeks without doing a damn thing, you know, and just
veg out.
Won't change my diaper and just sit in my shit all day.
Sit in your suck. Well, I love you very much.
Love you too.
And thanks for coming. And I'll put any links and stuff you want on there. But Matthew Boda.
Well, I know it's the Flagler podcast. So see you guys. There's the 2 people that's there, Matt Langeway and I think Blake's probably there. Matt Langeway and Blake are watching right now.
Okay.
See you 2 people.
Love you, boys.